Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Otaku Outcast. As always, it's me, Josie. I'm here with Brian, and today we have our first ever
And
guest.
no. We replaced Alex. Keep it real.
Alex knew his time was coming, bro. He knew it.
It's been dated since back then, huh?
Bro, I told him the moment he picked Miku over Ichika, it was done.
You're
But
like, it's
he didn't believe
done.
it. Nah, go ahead and introduce yourself, bro.
Hi everybody. My name is Justin. I'm 24 years old. I'm from Huntington Park, California. So I know Josie from high school. We've been playing soccer since we were like kids, like engaged and stuff like that. So that's how I know him. And I haven't met Brian before, so it's nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you.
Hopefully we have a cool conversation today and we learn some
Yeah,
stuff.
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
for sure. I hope so too.
So, how was you guys this week? Do you guys have a good week?
Mm,
Anything interesting?
yeah, it was pretty alright. Not much, usual staying home, watch football. That's about it.
What did I do? I was just working. I saw Spider Man, which is really dope.
Oof.
We're closing down for the end of the year, so I've been pretty busy just making like handling everything I can before people start to check out mentally, and they don't want to handle things like. So yeah, it's been pretty busy.
Oh, man. Well, I hope you feel somewhat relaxed today.
Oh yeah.
But so you saw Spider-Man, right? Here is, you can go spoilers galore, right? All our
All right.
all our audience knows we spoil anime and manga all the time. We're gonna spoil a movie.
Yeah.
What did you think of Spider-Man? Oh,
I think it was
wait. I'm
I
sorry.
have,
Just
I mean,
yeah.
I haven't seen it.
All right. I guess we're gonna have to go spoiler free because Brian hasn't seen it. The
you haven't seen it?
I don't know
No.
how.
Yeah,
Oh my
I
gosh.
made sure to watch it as soon as I could. Luckily, my company had an employee screening, so I was able to see it on Thursday. My boss, who's a higher up, got to see it on Monday, so he saw it before everyone did. He was at the premiere, so he saw like Zendaya, he saw Tom, and I was extremely jealous of him.
Damn, dude, fuck. Imagine just working and like not being able to see him, and you're like working for them. Oh, that
Yeah,
sucks.
it is, but it is part of the job. Not everyone gets tickets. It's a big company, so only like the
Yeah.
higher ups get the tickets and get some of the perks. But I'm hoping to get there. That's something I measure myself against, like people I want to be like, and I want to be like them.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's a good play. Good. I'm forgetting the phrase. It's just good to aim that high.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no, it motivates me a lot. But yeah, if I don't know if you want to talk about it, I could talk about Spider Man, but we don't have to because it is such a great experience, dude. Brian, I think
Yeah.
you should watch it in the movie theaters. Hopefully, no one spoiled shit, but I think this is an experience that like people need to be there. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a good fucking movie. I loved
Genuinely.
it. I think it's my favorite of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like it was between this and maybe like the first Avengers I really liked. So it was
Mm-hmm.
between this and that. But I think Spider Man takes the cake just because Spider Man is probably like my favorite
Okay.
Marvel hero. So yeah, I think this is fucking great. I don't know, Josie, what did you think about the movie?
Uh, I think this was like an event. That's the type of feeling. I got the same feeling when Endgame came out, the first
Yeah.
Avengers. Like this is just an event. Like you have to go watch it opening weekend, right? I guess not because Brian didn't, but it's just
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt like it was a good conclusion to the trilogy.
Mhm.
It was just really good. Like as a fan, like this is a movie any Spider-Man fan would absolutely love. It's hard
Yeah.
to go into exactly why without touching on spoilers, but
Mhm.
you're gonna. I feel anyone who watches it, whether you're a superhero fan or not, you're gonna really enjoy it. It's just a good fucking time.
Yeah. It's a great experience. Like it's pretty long. You know, it's almost like 3 hours long, I believe.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
I think it's around like 2.5 hours long.
So it's pretty long. Like it's you're sitting in the seat like for a while, but you know you don't even feel it. Like that's what I like about movies that do that. Like you don't even realize how long you're sitting there. Like you're just you're fully immersed in the experience, and that's why I absolutely love going to the movie theaters. That's one of the things I missed during the pandemic. I missed going to the movie theaters, paying fucking for overpriced snacks and shit. But it's part of the experience that that's slowly dying, and that's you know it's changing the whole film industry. And me that I'm walking into this that I walked into this time and place for the industry. And you know, my first year working, fucking COVID hits and movie theaters are eliminated. So the game is changing, the game is adapting, and that's one of the things I like to think about. So I'm always trying to think of ways to bring people to the movie theater because that's the
Yeah.
business that I'm in. And if people don't go to the movie theaters, we don't really make any money. We're not a streamer, so I work for a studio, and we don't have a streaming service. So our money comes from people going to the movie theaters. So my dream is to make cool shit that'll get you to come spend your money, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well,
I think.
technically, you guys do have a streaming service. You guys own
I
two.
mean, yeah, but we don't release any of our films theatrically on them.
Yeah.
Like whereas Netflix can release some movies on Netflix. I mean Disney can release on Disney Plus, or they can release on Hulu, or Amazon, who's you know they're exclusively a streamer. They can release their big theatricals on there. We don't have a service per se like that. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised you guys don't. Like, I'm
Yeah.
expecting.
Yeah, I would. It's I think the streaming game is pretty hard right now. You know, you have a bunch of streamers that popped out recently. Like you got Peacock, you have Paramount
Yeah.
Plus, you have Disney Plus, you got all
HBO.
these things. HBO Max, which is a Warner Brothers property. So, what did Warner Brothers do during the pandemic? They released all their movies through fucking HBO,
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
HBO Max. So we got King Kong versus Godzilla on there. We had a bunch of other movies, HBO ones that there was like Mortal Kombat was released through there, you know. So
Mhm.
like they were able to do that, and I couldn't. You know, did they make their money back? You know, did they? I don't know, but they did recover some of their money versus you know studios that spent millions, and you know they're waiting. They're still waiting to release their movies because you know we're waiting for. You want to have the best chance of making the most money you can back. So it's all a strategy of when you release. You know, don't release your movie the same weekend that Spider-Man comes out. Don't do it because no one's gonna go watch your movie.
It's
They're all gonna
basically
watch
like
Spider-Man.
suicide.
Yeah, yeah. So it's all an interesting game, and I'm learning a lot. I'm learning more every day, and yeah, it's a cool business. I like what I do.
Mhm. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I thought it would like going to the theaters. In a sense, I thought like drive-in theaters would probably go back up because you know
Yeah,
you want to be in the theaters. You're in your own car. You're in your own space. That I thought that would kind of work out, but I don't know how it went. I haven't heard as much about it.
yeah. I mean, those forms of there's a reason movie theaters were like just dying off, and there's only few and far between. You know, I can maybe
Hmm.
name like I've been to the drive-in theater like a handful of times in my life. Like I enjoy it, but there's something about going into a movie theater where everything is black, the screen is
Hmm.
huge. Uh, you go to an IMAX theater, the fucking sound just vibrates, the speakers, the surround sound all around. It's an experience that I think it's better than a drive-in movie theater. So people are waiting, and people are coming to the movie theaters. Like Spider-Man is going to break all kinds of records for sure, and that's all coming from movie theater. People's coming to the movie theater. So luckily, well, not luckily, because COVID isn't. It's not gone, but people
Yeah.
are. They're caring less and less, and maybe they're vaccinated. People they're wearing their masks in the movie theater. So whatever your opinion on this matter, it's your opinion, but people are still coming to the movie theater, which is good for business, I guess.
Yep. I
Maybe
mean,
Yeah.
not best for which is not best for everything else, but yeah.
hey, I mean, at the end of the day, you're right because I went to the movie theater. I made sure I went to the movie theater because for all the same reasons you said, there's just no other experience like it. Like it is a unique
Yeah.
experience. Like going to a place to live through, because like I felt like I lived through No Way Home. Like that is an experience. It's a
Oh.
great movie. And you
Mhm.
go there and you show up and you're surrounded by like strangers and you're all feeling these emotions. You guys all have an attachment to this character, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think the closest thing I can compare to it would be like going to a concert, going to a sporting
Yeah.
event,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just,
Was the crowd cheering with your movie theater? Were they
oh
going
yeah,
wild?
oh
All
definitely.
right.
And
See, that's something that's beautiful to me. That's I definitely was cheering by my. I was very happy what I saw on screen. I was like, that's fucking amazing. I can't believe they fucking did this. Um, but yeah, so young people like us are still going to movie theaters. It's like older people, like people that are more they're more likely to die from COVID. Older people like in their 60s and 70s. So they haven't been coming to the movie theaters these last couple of years because the way we measure like the probable success of a movie is we look at the last 2 years. So we look at 2021 and 2020, and we try to ignore data from 2019. But that's like the last real year where everything was normal, and everything we have these previous years is just COVID data. So how accurate is it? We don't know. We're gonna wait and see, and we're excited for 2022. I'm very excited for 2022.
oh yeah, man. I mean, COVID has affected everything. All businesses. I feel some benefit from it, some very clearly don't benefit from it.
Yeah.
Um, One thing that I find interesting is that, while although Sony doesn't have a streaming platform to release their big IPs, um they have bought in a streaming platform, right? We talked about it on the show earlier in the year, when Sony acquired Crunchyroll from AT&T
Mhm.
for $1 billion, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And one thing I want to ask you is how I don't know exactly, what the hubbub is, at Sony, but what have you heard about, all this face that Sony's putting into anime? Because for Sony to go out of the way and buy not just one, because this is their second anime streaming service that they own. They already owned Funimation.
Mhm.
So have you heard anything? Like, do you know if there's big plans for anime at Sony?
I haven't heard much of the plans. The base of their operations for this division of Sony is in Texas, I believe.
Mm.
So all of the things I would hear or I would talk to or any events they would throw, I haven't seen any in the lot. And also I recently just started going back to the lot in October, and it's basically empty. It's only like us and a few other people who are still going. We've been mandated by our chairman to go back after January 31st for at least 3 days in the office, which is what I'm doing anyway, because that's what my team requires of me. But maybe I'll start hearing and talking to more people once they start coming back. So unfortunately, I don't really have big news on
Yeah,
that.
no
I will
problem.
talk about how ambitious it is. I think it's great. I think this is, these business executives, they don't do anything on accident. They look at these things, and they pay a lot of people a shit ton of money to make these to project the possibility of success for buying these things. And if they're spending all this money on these anime streaming services, it's for a reason. It's because they know they're going to make their money back because people of anime, and I do too. I'm not a biggest fan as you guys probably, but I do enjoy watching some.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the first anime that got first anime that you ended up watching?
The first the first ones, I wouldn't. Do you consider Pokemon an anime?
It is
No,
anime.
right?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, that
yeah.
would be the first thing I remember watching. and then the
Mhm.
second thing would probably be Dragon Ball Z. I remember like knowing what Pokemon was when I was 5 years old, and then knowing what Dragon Ball Z was when I was like 6 or 7. I remember like it went in that order. And then the next thing I knew what like that I remember watching like specifically was anything that would come out in Toonami, like in Cartoon Network. I remember
Yeah.
watching some shows, not in order. Like I didn't watch it like maybe one week I would watch, and then the next I wouldn't, so I would fucking miss an episode. But I remember watching Cowboy Bebop on Toonami, or I remember watching Naruto or some shit like that. Just watching all these things, and I was hooked. And I didn't know it was considered anime. I didn't know what that was. To me, it was just a fucking cartoon. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And I enjoyed it. And all of my friends did too. Everyone knew what Naruto was when I was a kid. Everyone knew what Dragon Ball Z was. You know, like it was just a thing to. It was a cool thing to know, and it was also very enjoyable. Like people fucking were way into it, and I was too. And that's like the first experience I got into anime. Since then, I would say I'm maybe a mainstream anime fan. Like I'll watch
Mhm.
things that have a mass appeal to everyone, like the wide audience, and that's not maybe that's not a good thing because I'm not exposing myself to the best possible animes. But then also like it takes a lot of your time to be invested into these shows because they're so fucking long, and it takes a lot of you to be able to sit down and grind through these episodes. But if the story's really good, I mean, you'll sit through it. But you know, there's so much content out there, and that's part of what's interesting about my job is like there's so many movies out there coming out. How do we get people to pay attention to what we're doing?
Mhm.
And something I've been thinking about a lot is an anime adaptation, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why I went on, which I don't normally do, but something I want to start doing is voicing my opinions on Instagram, because like I feel like people don't really care, maybe they don't pay attention, but I think these are conversations to be had, and I wonder if higher ups are asking the people around them versus just you know just thinking about their own opinion. Like that's why Josie and I we had a conversation on Instagram about the Cowboy Bebop adaptation, because it's like I'm thinking these thoughts and I want to know what other people are thinking. Because this was supposed to be a good thing. I was very excited for it because I watched Cowboy Bebop growing up. I I've seen it maybe 2 or 3 times now,
Mhm.
which isn't a lot, but like I know what this is. I know what this property is. I know how good it can be. So it's like seeing how it failed. I'm like, what the fuck happened? And then you
Yeah.
start to think about it more. You take your emotions out of it, and you begin to realize that it is a business. And what happened with that is that it was canceled after one season, and Netflix is known to not give up so quickly for their big budget projects. So it was surprising that this happened. And I think it's just it didn't generate enough streams to justify the budget that this show has. Like it's
Mhm.
like on the VFX, the fucking talent that they have, to market what they this thing, it must have cost way more than the amount of streams they were getting. And you know, they measure their success based on streams and new subscriptions every quarter. So something went wrong here, and it didn't justify it. Like maybe it wasn't a total flop, but
Mhm.
maybe they were getting the streams like way more. This show is getting way more streams than their other shows, but maybe not enough to justify how much fucking money it cost to make this. And
Yeah.
it costs a lot of money to put good looking content out there.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Josie, you watched it or no?
I did. And what's very really interesting and what I really enjoy about talking to you about it, Justin, is that like your first thought is, oh, it didn't get enough streams, they didn't make their money back, which is really different from what I thought, because I immediately thought, oh yeah, they canceled it because of backlash from the anime community, right? But
Yeah.
after our conversation, I put some more thought into it, and I'm like, well, you know, I know the main demographic is anime fans, right?
Yeah.
So, and since I'm, part of the, I guess, anime community, I saw, oh yeah, everybody hated it. Everyone had so many criticisms. They didn't like this, they didn't like that. So that's why they pulled the plug on it. But
Mm-hmm.
what doesn't make sense to me is that it was a very heavily touched upon topic in the anime community for that week. It came, well, for months since it was announced, pretty much.
Yeah.
And what surprises me is that everyone seemed to have an opinion on it.
Mm-hmm.
But to have an opinion on it, that means you watched it, right? So this is something that, as far as I'm concerned, everybody watched and they just didn't like it.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's like you say, you know, they measure success via did they make their money back, how much money it is, because at the end of it, it is a corporation, right?
Yeah.
We like to think that, oh yeah, you know, they listen to their fans, you know, they listen to the people, you know, they care about our opinions. It's not always like that, you know. Sadly, I'm not saying it's a cold-hearted world and that nobody up there cares about the consumer. It's just why exactly is it that a series as beloved as Cowboy Bebop, right, gets an adaptation because they pushed it, because Netflix pushed it. There was a lot of advertising for it, like the months
Yeah.
leading up to it. There was a whole bunch of it, and it's like you say, they gave up on it so quickly. Um, Personally, I enjoyed it for what it is.
Yeah.
When we had the conversation, I had only seen a very little amount of it, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't like terrible. It wasn't like I didn't finish the series and think, oh well, that was a waste of time. It wasn't. I mean, it was fine. Um,
Yeah.
During our conversation throughout the week, you talked about the writing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having seen it all, I understand what you meant because there are some things that felt really, really odd and just
Mm-hmm.
like the preview we had gotten where they're in the diner
Mm-hmm.
and she approaches them. You know, a lot of people were comparing that to like a Seinfeld episode. Um,
Yeah, there's some sitcom vibes in the show for sure.
and then like the one line that just like stuck to my head was the blackmail line,
Ah,
right? And I get what they were going for like that, but like I feel like jokes like that fell flat, right?
all right.
Um, I like I said, it's just when it comes to the anime community, for the most part, they feel like these titles like Cowboy Bebop, like Dragon Ball, and just a bunch of things like that that have gotten the live action adaptation, they feel like it's like this precious little thing that, oh, you know, like I liked it before it was cool, right? And
Yeah.
they wanna keep it safe. They're not willing to let it out and open for the mainstream.
Yeah.
And I feel like as a community, we're fucking up as that. Like we need to be more positive. We need to be more willing to stretch out because me and Brian have been saying it for the entirety of our podcast since we've started that anime is like now in the mainstream. Like it's broken into the mainstream and it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
only gonna blow up. It's only gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. I can't walk to the store and back without seeing something anime, and it's crazy to me
Mm-hmm.
because that has never happened in my life. Like I've been an anime fan since I was a kid, and now like I'll walk to the store, there will be something anime in there. I'm walking down the
Mm-hmm.
street, there's a bunch of cars with like the little stickers on it.
Mm-hmm.
People walking down the street with T-shirts, and I'm just like, wow, like it is out
Mm-hmm.
here. You know, Fortnite had Naruto, the Naruto collaboration. Warzone
Mm-hmm.
is about to have an Attack on Titan collaboration, and
Mm-hmm.
like it's just here. It's here out and
Mm-hmm.
now, and I feel like me and Brian talked about it earlier that Sony just read the room. Like it was a five-head move acquiring Crunchyroll when they did because they
Yeah.
might.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought $1 billion was a lot for Crunchyroll. You know, it's just anime. You know, it's just Japanese cartoons
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. I guarantee you, like, if they would have tried to acquire Crunchyroll like 2 or 3 years from now, that it would have been like 10 billion. Like,
Oh,
it
for
would have
sure.
been
Okay.
up, 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 up. Um, we kind of joked that Sony was trying to get a monopoly on anime, you know, having Funimation
Mm,
and Crunchyroll.
yeah.
Um, we were just joking, Sony. You know, if you're listening.
Yeah, I know. A monopoly. The thing with these corporations is that they're competing against other giant corporations that are also out there buying everything else. So you are completely right, and I agree that they read the room and saw the potential. Then, and everything is unfortunately is driven by dollar signs. So they saw this opportunity because, like you said, if you're walking down, if you're walking in our hometown and you see you can't walk and without seeing something anime, it's like, well, then people care about this stuff. They like it. So if there's money there, they're gonna find it, and they're gonna find a way to extort some of that money, which isn't a bad thing because I feel like entertainment is a trade off. Like I don't mind going to the
Mhm.
movie theater and paying for this stuff because I'm getting something in return. You know what I'm saying? Same way, like I don't care about spending money for a soccer game. Like I could play soccer by myself for free, but I want to watch a spectacle. Like that's part of the experience. So maybe it's not such a bad thing, or maybe that's a different conversation for another day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I enjoy. I don't enjoy it. I'm not really a part of it. I just work for one division of a giant company, so it is interesting to see the moves that they're making, and it's great because if there's that's how I stay. That's how I pay my bills. I work for this
Mm.
corporation, so their success is not directly my success, but it allows room for my success.
Hmm.
Mhm. Uh, Josie.
Yeah.
Remember last week? I don't know if I feel like I brought it up, but since you were saying like, oh, the community holds these shows to a limelight. I
Hmm.
feel like it's not just partly that. I feel like the other part is like you've seen live adaptations and how they failed. So, and I brought it up to you last week how there's one guy that said that One Piece, no matter what, who's involved, even if Oda's involved, it's still gonna fail. So there's this part I feel like in the anime community is like we've seen live actions and they always tend to fail. So I feel like we just don't give it a chance like
Well,
that. So
well,
that's probably
yeah.
another reason as to
That's my point. I feel like as a community, we're fucking up. Like we can't think that way. There's never gonna be any progress if we don't believe there's a chance for progress. Um, I'm not gonna lie. After seeing how Bebop, well, I guess flopped. I don't
Mhm.
know. It just feels bad seeing it flop because I don't think it was bad. I enjoyed it. Like I had a good time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what if I had a choice to see the live action adaptation and the anime? I'd probably pick the anime, right? But
Yeah.
that's just biasy. That's just preference. Um, it was never supposed to be a one-to-one comparison, right? Which a lot of anime fans seem to like always want. Like, no, it has
Just
to be
want
exactly the same. There can't
panel frame for frame, panel for panel, and
frame for
stuff like that.
frame, panel for
That's how it
panel.
always
Yeah.
is.
It's just this weird obsession. I don't know why. Like we hold these things up to like a pedestal, and we want it to be pristine and perfect, and it's never gonna be like that. The director
But
for the Netflix adaptation isn't the same director for the anime. There's gonna be creative differences, and that's just
Mm-hmm.
something people can't process. They don't come to
no,
realize.
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, you tend to get in the anime where you get like it's there. They don't even do it that same way though. Don't forget they do that with the animes you tend to like. That's why those flop too. From like mangas that are really good, and then the anime just doesn't do it justice.
No, yeah.
Because yeah, we've seen that happen. Like, and it sucks because that's the manga that everyone's been waiting talking about, and then you see the anime and it just flops. It did not. It just skips so many things
See,
because
but
of
but the difference between that is that an adaptation from manga, the written on paper form, to anime to animation, is that the anime is supposed to be the manga in motion. Like that's usually how it goes, right? And that's not the same thing for a live action adaptation. For the most part, a live action adaptation takes the source material and they'll write a story with it, right? Like the the best example I can think of is literally the MCU. Like it is not one for one. You know, like Iron Man, the first Iron Man is one of my favorite movies of all time, right? Just movies, not just superhero movie, right? And it's not one for one with the comic book, right? But they were able to get the story of Iron Man, make it their own, and make it good, right? That's what matters. That the end product
Mm-hmm.
is good. And sometimes that's just not enough for our community, and I don't understand. And I know it's not everybody, right? It's more than likely it's just a loud minority, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just bad. It leaves a really bad rep. Like on social media, the anime community has a really bad rap. It just does. Whether it's you know furries or My Hero Academia fans or just whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? Um, it's a bad rap, and it's because of that loud minority. I don't know, man. Like if if we were to if it would to be announced, next week that there's gonna be a live action adaptation for Attack on Titan, right? It's gonna be Hollywood's gonna do it. It's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
what I would expect from it and want from it would be whatever director it is to get the story of Eren and put his twist on it. It doesn't have to be exactly one for one. As long as it's respectful. Like they don't like kill the character of Eren, right, or butcher the
Yeah.
story.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they're able to respect the source material and give us a good product, a good story, then that's amazing. I would prefer that 100 times over uh a really shitty fucking, I don't know, like copy
Anime.
paste, like a copy paste of the anime.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, like Cowboy Bebop is really beloved, right? Um,
Yeah.
there are a lot of people who would be like, oh, it's just overhyped, right? It's overhyped. It's just
Mm-hmm.
okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, you're gonna have people like that for every title, every series, right? No matter how good an adaptation is, people just don't like it. They just dislike it. They have
Mm-hmm.
something to say about it. Um, be because of that, you know, there is negative stigma for adaptations, for live adaptations, for
Yep.
I don't know, man. The the day we're able to realize, be like, oh, hey, that One Piece adaptation isn't gonna be an exact copy of Oda's story. Oda is involved in it, right? But all he's doing
Yeah.
is he's just overseeing it. He's just making sure they're not gonna do something batshit crazy that would like
Yeah.
kill the series.
Mm-hmm.
So if they get Iñaki, who's gonna be the actor playing Luffy, if he's able to take the character of Luffy and make it his own, right? Like I'm not expecting him to act exactly like Luffy does, be a complete fucking airhead, because that's gonna be really difficult. Like to capture Luffy is
I feel like that wouldn't do well if you were to even act as it.
yeah, exactly, because of how bouncy he's like, like his personality is a reflection of like his devil fruit. He has a really
Yeah.
bouncy, off the fucking wall personality, and
Mm-hmm.
no matter who you try to get to play that role, it's not gonna come out good. It's just not gonna come out good.
Yeah.
So,
I feel
um,
like the way we'd have to do it, he'd have to at least do it is like be a little happy-go-lucky, but not too over the top with it. That way, like it doesn't like he's
yeah, just like
fucking. I'm thinking of
a free spirited person, just always happy, positive. He has his own moral code. Luffy's not the best
yeah.
person, right? Like he is a good person, but he's kind of like an asshole. He's really selfish.
Now, this is good info. I have no knowledge of this of One Piece, so it's good info for me to hear about this and get your opinions on how the character on your concerns about the character and how it's going to be written. It. I'm thinking of a question right now. Let me see if I could form it the way I want to ask you. Okay, so if the first season of Netflix, let's say it's I think it's I wouldn't know. Do you know if let's say it's an hour long episode. Let's say they do 10 or 12 in the first season and it's just
Oh,
the first story arc.
If I remember right, I think it's 6. It's gonna be 6 episodes.
It's only 6 episodes.
Yeah, so I'm assuming it's gonna be an hour-long episodes.
Okay, hours. Okay, so an hour-long episode, 6 episodes, and that's the first season. That's it, and
Mm-hmm.
you're only introduced to the first 4 or 5 mates. So in terms of story development, like there's no guarantee that a second season is going to happen, right? So what is the risk? That's like something you have to think about, and something I'm thinking about now. Like risk reward for how much you want to introduce based on how expansive the source material is. Because there's so much content out there. So how much do you want to put to hook people early? Because you're gonna get the people who like the series that are gonna give it, who are gonna they're gonna want to watch it because they're One Piece fans. So, but how do you attract people that don't know anything about it? Like, and how would you do that by putting the best? You attract the people that don't know anything about One Piece by putting the best amount, like the best characters, the best fights, probably, as much as you can into the first series to hook people to make sure they're gonna keep paying for Netflix and to keep streaming. You know what I'm saying? So it's a fine line between respecting the story and also making it commercially viable. Make it make sense commercially. Like if you're the guy who's writing this or pitched this for Netflix, like get in that room of executives and make it make sense from a commercial standpoint, which is something we always have to think about. Like I would love to make so many scripts I've read, so many movies they're just so badass, but it's like it doesn't make sense economically. Like you're gonna have to pass on it. Like we don't have the money for this. We don't have Disney money. We don't have Netflix money. Netflix can just throw millions on these series, and TV is different from movies anyway. Like I've never worked in television. May one day I might. I'd love to. Of course I would. I'm a big fan of a lot of TV shows that are not exactly anime shows, but I'd love to work on them. TV, you can do so much with television. There, you get more content. You can develop a character way more, and you can't do that with movies. So, hopefully, I want this to be a hit, of course, because this is going to open the door for more adaptations, more people willing to take risks and throw money into this. And these are the kind of stories I want to see, because these are like, there's something about these animes that there's always a male protagonist in an anime, and he's usually an adolescent. He's usually younger. You know what I'm saying? So like, just to name some of them, like One Piece he's a kid. It's a boy. Dragon Ball Z, it's Goku. It starts off with him as a fucking kid. Naruto, he's a kid. Uh, Attack on Titan, it's a kid. It's a teenager. They're usually young kids, young boys.
There's a reason for that.
And yeah, well, you can explain the reason, but like, what I like about it is I can look at that and think about and see myself there. Like that's what I like about movies, when you can see yourself in a character, and that's what you see in yourself. Like, dude, I'm also a kid and I was younger, and I want to be a hero. I want to never give up. You know, I want to save the day. That's what everyone wants. So how do we put that? That's something. Those are the kinds of movies I want to watch. I like big movies where there's a guy lead. Like that's just how I've always been. Like Fast and the Furious, it's a meme, but I like seeing Dom Toretto fucking race badass cars, or I like seeing Spider-Man fight the villain and save the girl. Like it's something you see yourself in, and I think there's so many animes out there. I've probably described like maybe half of them. Right, male protagonist, he's an adolescent, and he goes out and he has a challenge. He has to rise to the challenge because something happened, right?
Yeah,
there's so many stories out there. So I want to see more of that, and I think it's all gonna rest on One Piece, because Cowboy fucking Bebop got canceled after one season. So if this doesn't work out, our studio's gonna want to throw money at this stuff again. Like if let's say you're a writer and you want to pitch an adaptation to fucking Tokyo Ghoul, they'll laugh you out the room like, no, get the fuck out. It doesn't adaptations don't make money. We don't want it. So hopefully One Piece is a big success.
Funny enough, Tokyo Ghoul had an adaptation that didn't do well.
Really?
Yeah.
Also, Death Note did not do well.
Yeah, Death Note had two
Two.
live action
But the other
adaptations.
the other one did okay versus the
other one
American
did
one.
okay. The Korean one did okay.
The American one did not. From like what you see, like, oh, bro, what was with the casting? That's all you ever hear. This didn't make. Yeah.
Casting's such an important job. Those people work like 16 hours a day because they're hired on contract. So like it's very rare you'll have a casting office that works year round. Like sometimes they take months off between shows, and but the times that they do work, um, dude, they're working like 16-hour days, and sometimes they just get shit wrong, and it sucks because I'm like I think of that too. I'm like, dude, sometimes the casting for shit is garbage, and it's like I have friends in casting, so it's like, what
Mhm.
the fuck are y'all doing over there? Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? But it just sometimes, and unfortunately, in the business, you just get shit wrong, and you have to be able to admit that. Like, there's one day I'm gonna be an executive for a movie, and I'm gonna be wrong, and I'm gonna lose the financiers, whoever paid for this project, I'm gonna lose money. Like it's inevitable. Like it happens to everyone in the business, you know?
Yeah.
So sometimes what you make is gonna lose money and you have to be able to put your ego aside and accept it and say, you know what, I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to fucking listen to the people around me, listen to the fans, you know?
Hmm. You know,
So yeah.
I was gonna say, the fact that they're even bringing Oda into this, I feel like they're trying to be even more careful. So I feel like they're probably listening
Yeah,
because
you know what?
I mean, Oda's come and said like, "Oh, these characters are from these areas," and they're
Mhm.
actually sticking to it. So I feel like this shouldn't fail because they're trying to stick as best as they can to what Oda has said before, and like, and Oda's overseeing it as well. So I feel like they're taking much more consideration now,
Well,
or at least One
actually,
Piece, because it's One Piece.
I'm gonna have to contradict you on that one, Brian.
Why?
Because Oda Oda doesn't give permission unless he's involved. He can oversee something
Oh, okay.
for the majority. I think there's only like maybe one or two like One Piece movies that he had nothing to do with.
Hmm.
But for the majority of the part, like he's not gonna give the okay. Like I think I forgot where I saw or heard this, but I think people have wanted to do a live action One Piece for like years. It's just that Oda has always said no. He's always turned it down. He's like, no, no, no. Like he didn't trust the people in charge of it. So the fact that he approved the mat, to pretty much be in charge of his baby, right? Because Oda's giving him like his baby, like that's his life's work. That's what I think says the most because Oda actually had sat down face to face, had a conversation with him, and Oda said, "You know what? Yeah, you know what you're doing." Like because he is a fan. Like the guy who's gonna be in charge of One Piece,
Hmm.
he's a diehard One Piece fan. Like I've seen him. I've heard him speak about One Piece and like he knows his shit.
Yeah, not like the Dragon Ball one,
He,
where that apparently the producer didn't know anything about Dragon Ball. I was like, oh, that's
I'll make
oof.
a bookmark Dragon Ball. I do want to talk about Dragon Ball later.
okay.
Um,
That's one of your questions.
to touch back on what you're on the stories you like seeing, Justin, right? And you named some series. There's a reason why, right? Because you are all of those series. You're their target demographic.
Mm-hmm.
Anime and manga, they're split up into categories.
Mm-hmm.
Shonen, shojo, seinen, and things like that, right? Like shonen is what you described. There, it's
Mm-hmm.
the main demographic is adolescent,
Young.
young adults, right? Male adults,
Mm-hmm.
right? Compared to like a shojo, which is the opposite, right? Now it's aimed towards girls,
Mm-hmm.
So all the series you named, Naruto, Dragon Ball, Attack on Titan, One Piece, they're all shonen, right? Which is why they get the young male protagonist, and so they're doing the job, right? It works. They're reaching the
Yeah,
core.
no, it's working for her. They got me. They got us hooked. And I'm not like it's. You're teaching me a lot about the categories, and I have heard of the shonen like
Hmm.
category. I guess you could say. Would you say
Mhm.
it's genre or category?
Actually, genre.
Genre.
I think genre. Yeah, genre actually fits it
Yeah.
better.
All right. So with this genre, these are the adaptations that I'm seeing. And drag. These are adaptations that got mass appeal. For whatever reason, they were successful here in America, and I think whatever for whatever reason we don't know why, but this is what it's driving. It's driving popularity, and I'm not gonna say like more guys go to the movie theaters or more guys do this because I don't have that information in hand, and I don't want to talk nonsense.
Mhm.
But whatever shonen is doing, this genre, it's getting adaptations versus, as far as I know, others aren't in America, right? Like,
Mm.
are other genres of anime getting adaptations like shonen is?
Um, the main reason why shonen, because almost all of the mainstream anime manga titles are shonen, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's because for decades and it still is, right? I don't have the exact numbers on me, but
Yeah.
in Japan it's the majority of males, the majority,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, it's not that's not to say there aren't females who enjoy this, right? Because there is a lot, right?
Yeah.
Um, the reason shonen does so well, right? And these titles that we talked about in particular is because all of those that you brought up, other than Attack on Titan,
Mm-hmm.
they come from the same magazine, right?
Okay.
The same magazine in Japan is called Shonen Jump,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the
Shonen
biggest that's the biggest manga magazine in the world.
Jump.
And since they're the biggest, everybody knows it, right? Like if you're in Shonen Jump, you are big. You've made it. Like that is the prime
Pretty
Oh,
time.
much.
yeah.
Everyone wants to be in it. They want to
Mhm.
stay in it. They want to stay relevant there. That's pretty much where everyone aims for.
Is there like a selection process? Do they allow new ones every year? Do you have to like get kicked?
It's
Do you get kicked out of it if you fall off? Like, how
it's
does it?
ruthless. Like Shonen Jump is
Yeah,
Yeah.
notoriously ruthless. I think
they do
that
not take it easy on them.
every week they go over the numbers. They go over like they have well, back in the day they used to have like, fans can like mail in what their favorite series are, right? Or what they thought was the best chapter of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And they look at those numbers, and let's say because I think just this year Shonen Jump acts like four titles. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't make the quota, it is
Mm-hmm.
very unforgiving. Like if you don't
Oh, for sure,
if you
for
miss the
sure.
quota for like a month, you're done. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
like they come up to you and they're like, put a wrap on it, like
Wow.
do what you gotta do and you're
Yeah,
out, and they
Mhm.
give your spot to another up and coming author. For the
That's wild. That's
they'll
crazy.
they'll have contests like yearly contests or monthly contests, right? Well, they'll ask amateurs to be like, oh, write a one shot, write like a short story, right? Like 40 to 60 pages and turn it in. You
And
know,
this is called Shonen Jump magazine. You said.
yeah,
yeah.
weekly Shonen Jump magazine,
They have an app.
Okay,
and
so it's ruthless and pretty much the most popular best stories are the ones that are kept, and if you're just not selling enough or you're not popular enough, you get cut.
yeah,
Pretty
How
much.
many
Yeah,
so and it's all original? Like these are all original stories, would you say?
yeah. So
yeah. I mean, just some of them are like from older times that are still here. Like One Piece is still on there, and it's pretty old, somewhat old at this point. They have like a few old fucking mangas on their stuff that are
I
still going.
wonder how commercial. When I say commercial or theatrical, I'm talking about you guys probably already know it. Maybe I don't have to explain it, but maybe for audiences that don't know, like when people in the film industry or television probably talk about how commercial or theatrical it is. I guess theatrical is for movies. Is um how would it work on the big screen? Is this something that people will come to the movie theaters to pay for? Like it could be a great fucking story, but is this gonna make people come to the movie theaters? And I've read so many great stories in my life, so many great scripts. But the first question you have to ask yourself is this gonna make people leave their homes, bring their kids to the movie theater? Like that's the first thing you have to think about because this is a business run by money. That's the fucking whole world does that. So, like I've read great books like in high school. Like I've read great Shakespeare plays, but will people come to the movie theaters and read and want to watch a Shakespeare story? Like maybe not, right? Like Romeo and Juliet. Like do
probably
people want to
not.
see Julius Caesar? Like not fucking really, no, right? It's like you have to make it theatrical. So I'm thinking about this magazine, and there must be some great content on here. But does it, could it merit an adaptation? Do you think, in your opinion?
Um, live action adaptations.
Yeah, live action adaptation. Like, is there a One Piece in like an unknown? Because you said it's up and coming artists, right? Storytellers. So, is there a One Piece in there? Do you think?
You know, that's
Hmm.
funny. I actually had a conversation with Brian about this because One Piece is the highest selling manga of all time, right?
Yeah.
It outsold Batman, I think last year, and the only other graphic novel that sold more than One Piece is Superman, and
Mm,
there's like about like 100 million difference at the moment.
mhm.
But Superman's been going on since like the 40s to 20.
No, yeah, it's an old
Yeah,
comic
yeah,
book.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it's an old. Yeah.
And up until maybe 2 years ago, there was nothing like One Piece, right? Like nothing came close to One Piece. I think the second highest selling manga of all time is like half of what One Piece has sold, right?
Oh shit. Yeah.
But but like we've been saying, anime is on the rise. Like anime is entering a new golden age. Like I seriously feel like this is a new golden age in anime and manga because now we're having series that outsell One Piece is by like miles, like blowing One Piece out of the water. Like Demon Slayer is
Yeah,
Mhm.
Demon Slayer.
sold 100 million in a year. That's a quarter of what One Piece has sold in its entire run. Like that is insane, and it's not the only series selling like that. Recently, there's been another one named Jujutsu Kaisen, Tokyo Revengers. Like they're selling like hotcakes, and it's going hand in hand with its rise in the mainstream media and mainstream popularity.
Is this all shonen?
Yeah,
Yes,
there,
it is
yeah, Shonen.
all shonen.
Shonen,
Okay.
Shonen.
So
Oh,
it's
real
a
quick.
recurring pattern of what is commercial, what could be theatrical. It's all shonen.
Shonen is
Yeah,
very
mainly Shonen.
commercial, very very.
Okay. Would you want to see other genres come to the big screen? And do you think those genres are gonna get non-anime fans to the movie theaters?
Maybe I feel like
No,
shoujo more than I feel like shoujo would.
no. See that's the thing. I feel shojo. I would personally go watch. Like if they made a live adaptation of like Quintessential Quintuple, it's on their day one, right? But
Yeah.
the thing is, shojo is a lot easier to adapt because shojo is for the most part. No, actually, I shouldn't say that. I'm gonna get butchered. Like some shojo series are just slice of life. Like it's literally you just follow the main character throughout their life, like their
And
daily life, like dealing with their romance problems, right? Like
yeah, pretty much. That's what it is.
and titles like that are so much more easy to adapt because it's real life. It's very simple.
Mhm.
Like all you need to do is just follow like this regular schoolgirl throughout her day, uh, you know, her through her connections with her friends, her love
Mhm.
interests and things like that. See, that's not gonna attract people who are non-anime fans because they're not gonna look at that and be like, "Oh, it's an anime." I'm gonna go
Mhm.
watch it. When you compare, like, if you were to make a good Dragon Ball Z live adaptation, right?
Mhm.
Like people are gonna look at that and be like, "Oh, that's anime," because that's over the top. That's superpowers, that's fighting,
Mhm.
and
But
I don't think it would attract people. It would just attract like regular romance fans, like people who like rom coms, like
yeah, it could make a blow up like that though. I'm not gonna lie. And as long as you say, oh, it's based off of something like the anime or a manga, then you could get away with bringing newer people towards anime like that. But again, if you're like doing big titles, it's gonna be hard as well to like really get people to watch it
Yeah,
because of
this is stuff that I'm not interested in. I don't think I'd want to see an adaptation of that, but that's my own preference. So if there is
yeah.
an audience for something, and that's what my boss is always trying to figure out. That's what I'm trying to figure out. What do people want to see, and what are we making that people want to see, and are there new ideas out there? These are things to think about. So I'm big on this right now. Uh, just an anime adaptation thinking out of the box. Like it makes me want to look at Shonen Jump magazine and see if there's something there that merits something for Sony. But it would have to be a movie because we don't make television shows. At least my
You
group
would
doesn't.
definitely.
So it would have to be like a movie. So this is something I would. We have these. We call these flash meetings that my boss created. It's great. We have the. It's on. It's every Wednesday where we have these creative flash meetings where we bring up topics, and we're just for an hour there. We for like the first hour of the meeting we talk about the projects we're working on and updates on them, and then the next maybe 30 minutes, but usually it always goes to an hour because we're just talking about stuff we like or we're watching or great ideas we have. That's what I brought up Cowboy Bebop because my boss asks it. Like the question he'll ask is like, "What movie should we be buying? What movie should we be making?" And I was like, "Dude, we should." This was before Cowboy Bebop got canceled. Just for some context, I said we should do that. Fucking and he was listening to what I was saying, and he looked like he was interested. He's like, "Okay, I'll think about it," because he okays everything. Fucking next week, he gets a notification as I'm with him in his office. Netflix gets canceled after one season. And he's like, "What the fuck, Justin? You said this shit was hot. You said this shit was the future. What the fuck?" And it made me fucking think about myself and my ego and my own biases. And it's like I thought this was great. Obviously, like Josie said, it wasn't like a spectacular adaptation, but it was okay. It was something that I definitely think it merited a second season. I did want to see more character development because Cowboy Bebop only has 30 something episodes, right? Like it only has one season and then it's over. Like
I think it has like 20 something. Yeah, it's only one season. It's
it is
over.
some. It may be less than that, right? Like so, like make how do we bring this into the mainstream? Like it if it's already here, how do we bring non-anime fans into the storytelling? You know what I'm saying? And that's
It's
a big
not.
question I'm asking myself. I think about it all the time ever since I found out the show got canceled. And so I'm putting a lot of my hope in One Piece. Hopefully this blows up and people give
I
this shit
mean,
a shot.
It's crazy, man, because One Piece is like the granddaddy of anime because it is arguably, one of the biggest names in the world. That is 100% the biggest name in Japan. Like One Piece has like this firm grasp on the country of Japan like nothing else. Like I've never seen anything like it. Like, right? Like Japan adores One Piece, right? Which is why it's, you know, a big reason why it's gone on for so long, right? Like there's a reason why it's never been in danger of getting axed by Shonen Jump. Because even
Yeah.
even stories like Naruto and Bleach, right? They got axed. Like eventually, they're like, you know what, like it's time to wrap it up, right?
Damn.
And
oh,
um,
Samurai 8.
oh, Samurai, it's just
The creator of Naruto decided to do another like manga,
Oh no shit.
Samurai. Yeah, he wanted to do Samurai 8, right,
yeah,
Josie?
Samurai 8.
Yeah, and it did not do well enough, and it got canceled. And his name was not enough to carry it.
Yeah, like that is a
Jesus,
That's how,
that's
big
fucking
name.
that's how you
that's
know.
yeah,
That's how
that's
you know Shonen
concerning.
Jump. Shonen Jump does not play around like
They
that.
do not
Yeah,
care.
that's
Yeah.
concerning.
And
But that's
Um.
also maybe it's a good thing because then it'll I like to say competition breeds excellence. So competition is a good thing because it'll bring out the best in the creatives to try to get the best story out there possible. So it's good that it's unfortunate, but it's also a good thing. Like maybe his name didn't carry it. It's like, oh, it just wasn't good enough, man. You need to come back with some good shit
Better
that's gonna
stuff.
get
Yeah.
people hooked. Yeah. Um.
Uh, uh,
And
it's kind of hard to. Oh my bad for cutting you off, but like, because I'm
no.
thinking of the question like, how do we bring in more anime fans? It's kind of hard to say, in a sense, because I mean, even for anime itself, it's like we just had the people that have already been watching anime for years, and next thing
Mhm.
COVID kind of pushes people to watch anime right now.
Yeah.
So that's it's not necessarily an easy like, oh, how do we get new people to watch more anime, like in the sense right now, how do we get more people to watch anime is because the only way you get people to watch anime is through other friends that have told you, hey, hey, you're down to watch this anime, dude. It's like, what? What's that? Oh, it's this. All right, I'll watch it. And then you get people watching One Piece. You got people who you get you. It's like the weird way to getting people into anime is like someone kind of has to tell you and sell you to it through
Yeah,
friends, and it's
word
hard
of mouth
to
is word
yeah.
of mouth advertising is probably the most effective form of advertising. You know, like just how Josie and I were talking about Spider Man, and if you haven't watched it, you're probably gonna be like, dude, I need to go watch it because everyone else around me is telling me how good it is.
I feel like
Um,
you. Oh my bad. I'm sorry for cutting you off, bro.
no, dude, no worries.
It's because I feel like you, if to actually get newer people,
Yeah.
I feel like you have to sell it to the current anime fans and make sure they like it the most. So they'll be
Mm-hmm.
telling people like, "Hey, this is good for like something like for an anime. It's the anime. This is good. It was just as good as the animes. You should watch this, even if it's not an anime. It's a real. It's real people. You should watch it."
I got a perfect example. Perfect example. Squid Game, right? Became the
Yeah.
number
It's
one
good.
show on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
The first people who watched it were the Korean drama fans, right? And from the Korean drama fans, right, talking about how good it was, right? Other people were like, "Oh, well, all the Korean drama fans are watching this, right? It's trending right now, right? Let me check it out. Why is this trending?" And then bam, it just blew up. Like Squid Game came out of fucking nowhere, right?
No,
And
it's a hit. It's
it's a hit.
they're guaranteed. They
Second
already got their
season, right?
second season. They're gonna probably get more. No fucking cap. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's such a good fucking. It was perfectly executed in what it was, and it's something new. And I got fucking hooked like immediately. Like this made me want to watch the rest of the episodes. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I need to know. I need to know what's like. I need to know what happens. You
And
know what I'm saying?
you know what's funny? There's an anime, on kind of old anime that's exactly the same premise. Exactly the same premise. This guy who's in debt, someone makes him an offer, like, oh hey, I have a way for you to be able to pay off the debt, like come to this place, right? And he shows up, and then they just make him play like a bunch of random games in order to, if you win, you pay off your debt and you go scot free, or you can even earn cash, right? It's called Kaiji, and
How old is it?
um, not that
Like
old.
90s?
No, from 2000s. Maybe 2010s.
2000. So it's 10 years old, maybe at the
Yeah,
most.
like 10 years, right? And
Was there any copyright issue with this? I didn't know about this.
no, because it's rescanned. It's pretty much rescanned, right? Like that would be like saying, oh, why didn't Fortnite get on Warzone's case, right? It's the same game,
Yeah,
Uh,
you can't copyright the
the
you can't
concept.
copyright the concept of a battle royale game.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess like that is so it's loosely based on it, I
Uh,
guess you could say.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure if you tell the author, he'd be like, "Yo, what the fuck are you talking about?"
He'd be like,
This is
they
all.
robbed my shit.
He's gonna be like, "Oh, this is
Yeah,
all off the dome, right?" but
yeah.
but now since you brought up the question earlier about how can we bring people in, right? Like is our shonen series where the money's at? I 100% would agree. Like shonen is where the
Yeah,
money at.
Shonen's where the
Like
money's at.
if you really want a blockbuster, like I feel like guaranteed money, it would have to be like My Hero Academia. I feel like that's in Shonen Jump,
Into a
right?
movie
Um, yeah, you
or a
could
TV
probably
series?
make it if you were
I mean,
because My Hero Academia is an anime about superheroes, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
superheroes is already here. Anime is on the rise. It's just like a match made in heaven. And
Hmm.
if you were to take the MCU route and make the first movie Deku's origin story, there you go. You can just put it out there and it would just launch from there, because I feel like My Hero Academia is the perfect series to get adapted. And it's not like you can be like, oh, but how are they going to adapt the superpowers? We've already seen DC and Marvel do it, with no issue.
Yeah.
We've seen Sony
Hmm.
do it with no issue with Spider-Man, right?
Hmm.
So I feel like My Hero Academia is like where the money's at. I'm just waiting for it to be announced any day. Honestly, I don't know how it hasn't.
I think I think they're just gonna have to wait on the success of. It keeps coming back to this on the success
Yeah.
of One Piece, or maybe the success of. I was gonna say Avatar, but like no, Avatar is more. It's more American mainstream, I guess,
And people are
than maybe One
already
Piece.
people are already scared of it because like the original writers of Avatar slipped away from it because
Yeah,
they weren't agreeing with. So people are already like, yeah.
I had a friend who was she works in casting, who had the opportunity to work on the show, and for some reason she just said no. She was like, I think she had just got done with another casting job, and she was like, I'm okay. Uh, um, she's worked on some pretty cool stuff, like I think the Showtime Lakers series that's coming out.
Oh,
I don't know if you've heard. There's like a Showtime, like it's a series about the Lakers, the Showtime Lakers, like with Magic
yeah.
Johnson and all the other fools running around. And she worked on the casting for that. And but she was telling me that like the casting for this, they were making sure to not cast white people into the roles, because I think the Last Airbender was never meant to. Those characters are not white. I think they were
Hell
never meant to
no.
be white. Yeah. But we can get into you know they do their own thing and then the studios do their own thing. Like I had an issue with I saw the Resident Evil film, which is a Sony movie,
Yeah.
but that's another team. That's the Screen Gems team. Um, and I work in acquisitions and Stage Six Films. Uh, but I loved the series growing up. I played the video games. My favorite Resident Evil's Resident Evil 4. I don't know if you guys have ever played it.
No.
Uh, Leon S. Kennedy
I
is the
think I have it on.
character, the main character in Resident Evil 4. Yeah, he is a white guy. And in the film, he's not a white guy. He's played by, I think his name is like Ava something. Ava.
I know his real
Let's,
name. I know his name from Victoria's Jonah.
yeah, Avon
Yeah.
Jogia. Jogia.
Hmm.
That guy is
Uh,
not, I don't want to
he's
spoil
not.
the movie.
I've seen it.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Josie, have you seen it?
I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah, you're not gonna watch it. All right. Well,
Uh,
point is, in the film, he's not even close to what Leon is supposed to be. He doesn't have the look. He doesn't have like the muscle definition. He doesn't have just the character. It was garbage casting. It was terrible, but it was not to talk shit about my own company, but it was like it wasn't the right move for what this character should have been. But casting is super important in this, and I think they've announced some of the One Piece actors already that are attached, right?
Yeah.
yeah, all the Straw Hats, all the main
They've
characters.
all been they've all been announced. Have you seen the casting? Let
Yeah.
me see.
Um, the One Piece fandom, for the most part, loved it. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like they did an amazing job with every character. Especially like Nami. Um,
Oh, like spot on casting, you would say?
yeah, especially considering that they stayed faithful to what the nationalities of what Oda said the Straw Hats would be in the real life.
Mm-hmm.
So
All right.
like Usopp is being played by Jacob, right? And he's African, right?
Yeah.
Luffy's being played by Iñaki, and I think he's Mexican, right? And Oda said that he would be like South American,
Latin American, yeah.
and just things like that, and or like Zoro, right? He's being played by someone Japanese, and Oda said Zoro
Mm-hmm.
would have been Japanese. So
Yeah.
I just feel like they nailed the casting. I feel like the guy in charge of it, he knows the series, he knows what to do with it. Oda's involved. Um like all I can do is just fucking hope that they do a good job because it's
Very
exactly
well.
like you
Yeah.
said. Like this is going to make or break in my opinion live action anime adaptations for like a few years. Like
Yeah.
this will define the landscape. If it does well, then I feel like there's business. Like we're in business, right? Like this is when
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna start coming out. But if it flops, uh, especially with the fact that One Piece is such a beloved
Big name.
series,
Mhm.
it does not look good for live action adaptations.
No, yeah, that's the struggle. So the show has the job of uh, making a show that's great for the anime fans and for the non-anime fans. Like, how do you bring people like I'm already interested because I know it's a good story. Like, I know it's a good story. It has to be a good story. If it's been going on for so long, it's the high selling thing. I know it's a good story, so I'm gonna be I'm eager to watch. But how do you get casual fans who are just like they're just scrolling through Netflix and they're like, oh, this looks interesting. Let me click on it. Like that's the struggle with live adaptations, and a lot of it has to do with, like you said, the anime community not being accepting of some of it and maybe trying to gatekeep it. But also, it's up to the creatives in charge to make a story, because it's already a great story. That's why they're adapting it. But just make it so that it's good for everyone and that people are gonna pay to watch it. Pay to watch and to keep streaming. Pay for these streaming services that are gonna, they're putting the money up because Netflix is putting that money up. They're financing this with their own money, so you know
um
they'll be much more willing if it ends up being a hit.
I'm confident that if they're able to make the One Piece fans like it,
Then
Mm-hmm.
it'll get to the people, the regular
then
people.
I just feel like the One Piece fans alone would be enough to carry it. Like One Piece is like
Yeah.
one one of the biggest titles in the whole world. So if you're able, even if you're not able to like reach non-anime fans, if you're
Mm-hmm.
able to
As
get
long
like
as you
the
sell
One
it to.
Piece fandom, I feel like you're in business. You'd be
Yeah.
able to continue on with like more seasons because
All right, let's hope the fandom doesn't kill the show then.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's you. Yeah, you guys have to basically sell it to the One Piece fandom the most.
like
That's who you really
like
have to
that
sell
is
it
who
to.
you're selling it to because the One Piece fandom will make or break the series because um One Piece, me speaking as a One Piece fan, like we really love our series, like we're really passionate about One
Yeah.
Piece, and if you give us something that we like, we're gonna let it be known, like we're gonna love it, like we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
support it 100%. um if if the show fails to grasp the anime,
Yeah.
the One Piece fandom, then it's just gonna be murdered by the rest of the anime community because
Yeah.
um that's just how it is. Like if you can't even get the core fans to like if Cowboy Bebop failed to get the Cowboy Bebop anime fans, like they failed to get them. Like I feel like
Yeah.
if they would have been able to convince them, like, you know what, we like it, this is good, then I feel like it would have done well. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, like Dragon Ball Evolution, right? Like the most one of the most notorious live action
Made
adaptations of anime ever,
fun
right?
of.
That movie fucking sucked, dude.
Like
That movie fucking
Jeez.
sucked.
the fact that they made it so people who don't know what Dragon Ball is like would
Mm-hmm.
get it. You know how they try to like explain it, or like they would change things to make it easier to grasp for people who like aren't used to anime, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
if I were to go across the street, right, to like the senora who lives there, and I was like, oh hey,
Mm-hmm.
look at this, right? And I show her like a really well adaptation, like let's say there was a beautiful fucking Dragon Ball adaptation, right? And it was just masterful, right? The special effects, they nail everything, right? But if I go show it to the Señora's gonna be like, oh, it's kind of weird, like I'm not used to this shit.
Yeah.
Um, man, it's just so much, like, and the one thing that I feel like, right? So you could probably explain a lot better than I can, Justin, right? Like the process, right? Like when a writer approaches, right, who would a writer approach? Like, oh, like this is my script, this is my idea for a movie, right?
It depends. It depends on the level of writer, and because every top writer is usually repped, so they
Mm-hmm.
either have an agent or a manager that their agent's job for that writer is to sell their stories to companies. So And so, like, let's say a writer has won a writing competition, and he's getting agents that want to rep him because he's a good fucking writer, right, or something. And he signs with CAA, which is a big agency. I don't know if you guys ever heard of CAA. It's a big agency. They rep so many people. They have a division where they rep writers. Let's say CAA hits my team up, and they're like, "Hey, we have this writer. He has this great script, and they send us all information in one email, and it'll usually say the log line, which is just a couple lines about what the story's about. They'll name the credits that the writer has, like, oh, he wrote for this show, he wrote this movie. And because of the writer's level of experience, we'll probably take a look at it, or the relationship that the company has with my company. My boss has been working in the industry for fucking years, knows fucking everybody just by name. He's like, oh, I know what they do. I know who they represent. I know I've read this, I read that. I want to get to that level of knowledge, right? So that's where it would start. Let's say that writer has gotten special permission from the owner, whoever owns the rights to this one anime, and he's like, hey, I have the script. I know that person who owns that anime. He gave me the okay for this. So we have the exclusive rights to, do you want to buy this thing off of us? And that's how that would work,
Mm-hmm.
So it all just depends. That's how the process would start. So it'll be a writer, and he'll usually be repped. So it's that agency's job to sell that script to us because that writer owns the rights of it now. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he owns a certain percentage with someone else.
Um, so once your team picks it up, right? Um,
Yeah.
how is a director picked? How is a producer picked? Is that all your guys'
Sometimes
call or?
it depends on where we buy the project. So like I work in acquisition, so we'll buy movies that are already completed. Someone else made it, but they just don't have distribution. And
Mm.
because we work for a big studio, we have the money to distribute. We have the money to put your film on movie screens to make more money. You know what I'm saying? And some people want that. They'll make their movie for 500,000, 1 million, and they're willing to sell it. Just they're willing to sell the rights to a studio, so they'll get more money, and then the studio, that's their incentive for buying is for buying these movies that are already made is like we'll make money off the distribution. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it depends. Sometimes if we buy, let's say we have a project that Sony owns the rights to, right at the beginning script stage, then it's now Sony's job to find a director, to find the kind of cast you're looking for, to find producers for it. And yeah, so it
Okay.
depends on where we buy the script and where we buy like sometimes they're called packages. Where if we like the package, who's attached to it. Sometimes the writers already have that connection to directors and be like, this guy said he's attached to direct. He said he'd do it, and then obviously whoever buys that package has to pay everyone. Has to pay the writer. Has to pay the producers. Has to pay for everything. So
Okay.
I'm gonna give an example of one pitch that I got recently. That I didn't get it, my team got. I'm just the assistant, but I see all this stuff and my input's important. I'm not gonna. It was about. It was about. It was a. It was like a social commentary movie. It was like medicine about the dangers of social media and people getting addicted to social media. Like,
Mm.
and it was supposed to have this like this. The cast was already attached for the writer.
Oh.
So the writer had already contacted these actors asking if they'd be interested in the script, and they said yes. So they were already attached. So it's more of like a package now. It's not just the script that has no elements attached to it, no director, nothing. This had some no cast yet. This had something already. So it got the okay from the actors. One of the actors was a star of a show on Nickelodeon. I don't know if it's on anymore, but I knew who he was because I have younger siblings, and when I would take care of them, I would be watching what they were watching, and I knew who this kid was.
Oh, Jake Paul.
Um, no, no, not gonna say his name, but trying not to
Yeah, yeah.
give as many details that would get us in trouble. But this project had the cast attached, and it had a director attached already who had some credits before. for some other stuff that my boss liked. So he took the meeting because he liked the director. Because that director had directed another movie released in 2019 that my boss had watched and liked and said this director has talent. So it just depends on the level of package and the elements attached to it that decides whether we look into it or not. So if you have a great script and you think it's great, but you don't have anyone attached to it or anything, like we're less likely to look at it versus if it is a great script and you have an agent and if you have great elements like a good cast or a good director attached to it, it would make us take a second look for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, because the reason I'm asking that is because, I feel like another reason why, like, I'm not actually, fuck, I have no idea who directed the Cowboy Bebop adaptation, but just from what I saw, right, just from the first season, and what I watched, I have to assume the director wasn't an anime fan, right? Like he wasn't used to anime, from what I think.
And that's the tricky part with the decisions these companies make. Like, why would you pick someone that has no knowledge of the source material? And sometimes it's just well, first of all, maybe it's hard to find someone that likes Cowboy Bebop. Like maybe there was no director available. Maybe there wasn't.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you have to respect the source material. But being a director is very stressful because you have to, like, you're pretty much in charge. You know what I'm saying? You have a schedule to keep, and you have to finish these pages in this day, and try not to like go over. So you're not working 14-hour days, and you have to pay everyone a lot longer to stay over, and you have deadlines. Like you have to lock picture, which means you have to finish filming, finish everything by a certain deadline. And that's your job as a director. So you also have to you have to create this story. You have to weave the story into a good product, but also be in control of everything else around you. So uh, uh, maybe there just wasn't one available, but the picking directors is like kind of a touchy subject because it's like you're gonna get their creativity, their style in it, but also their leadership skills because you do need a leader to get this project through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah, because um I'm just thinking from the perspective of, like again, like using My Hero as an example, right? I
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's obvious that that movie would do a lot better if it's being directed by someone who's familiar with anime, right? Who's not just like read or watched My Hero, right? Like just
Mm-hmm.
familiar with what an anime is about, right? Like what the
Mm-hmm.
deal is, because one of my favorite things about the MCU, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is that
Yeah.
you could tell that the directors are familiar with like comic book stories.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly if they grew up reading comic books or things, but like it is obvious to me that they're like they know what a superhero origin story is, right? Because I mean, I won't say all of the origin stories in Marvel have been good, but a vast majority have. That's how we're able to get sequels. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's how people give a shit when they appear in the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're able to get a good director for the My Hero movie, right? If
Mm-hmm.
not, and it doesn't even have to be like someone who's Japanese. Just um, I know there's this really famous director who likes anime. I just can't think of his name right now, right? But oh man, right? I well, moving on from that, right? Um, if we're able to get one, right, who's like familiar, who pretty much knows, like, oh yeah, like this is what works, right? The in anime is because I'm in anime world, right? And like in the My Hero world, in the One Piece world, right? Like rules and logic aren't exactly like the same as they would be in like an American cartoon. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't compare stories like Tom and Jerry or Ed and Eddie with series like Attack on Titan, like One Piece, right? Not just because of the plot and the stories, but because you know, like there are like unspoken rules. Like like when two anime characters are fighting, right? Like let's say Goku punches Vegeta really hard in the stomach, right? And then Vegeta coughs out blood, right? Like that's not
Yeah.
normal. Like like the human body doesn't work like that. Like if you're coughing up blood like that, then you're gonna die, right? And
Mm-hmm.
whereas in a cartoon, right? Like in a cartoon, that's not a trope. Like that is not a common trope. Like if you punch someone in the mouth, like they're gonna spit out blood. Um, like things like key blasts, like a Kamehameha, right? Like a lot of series have things like that, right? Whereas like in a
Mm-hmm.
cartoon, that's not normal. Like in an American
Mm-hmm.
cartoon, um, more common tropes are like like the sound effects, like when someone hits something, like the plow, splat, things like that. Um, so just small little tiny things like that, I feel would make a big, big, big difference, right? Because an example of the Cowboy Bebop is when what's the character Sid, um, when the kid gets introduced, right? When he finds Spike laid out in the alleyway, right? Like the
Mm-hmm.
camera angle, like that camera angle from like, oh hey Spike, right? Where like it gets that really, like that is a very anime camera angle. Like that felt like the most anime of the whole thing, right? I was like, yeah, they nailed it. I felt like that whole little sequence of just her being really fucking annoying and things like that felt anime as fuck to me. Like that, I was like, yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
that is a very well done scene.
Yeah.
Um, but that wasn't able to translate to the entire series. But
Mm-hmm.
it just, I feel like just small things like that are what like really capture um the anime esque. It's just I'm having a hard time putting it, finding a word for it. Like I've used tropes, I've used esque, but just
Style, identity,
uh
genre. Um.
style. I guess style, right? Like an anime style. Oh yeah, style's a good one because like just like characters, right? Like if I were to show you a picture of an American cartoon and an anime character, right? Like you would be able to tell like just off of like how they're drawn, right?
The
For the most
drawings,
part.
yeah, the style of drawing it is, yeah. Well, I looked up the directors, and the series had two different directors that split up the 10 episodes. So it's Cattleman and Angel Garcia Lopez. So check to see what episodes Alex did and which episodes Michael did, and then you'll see like the styles that they both have, and maybe which one is the more anime fan of the two. But I completely agree with you that it would make sense for an anime adaptation project to have people that actually like anime directing it. I think that would help out tremendously with the product and getting anime fans to like it, and you know getting anime fans to like it and to tell their friends about it. I don't know if that would help non-anime fans, since they don't really know what anime is, but it could help keep the fans of the series like keep them interested. Obviously, Cowboy Bebop missed the mark, and it didn't do enough, I think. But then again, we don't really know. Netflix they're the only ones that know. Netflix and whoever also helped with the series, which would be um, Tomorrow Studios, Midnight Radio, and Sunrise Inc. Those are the companies that helped develop. And Tomorrow Studios has also worked on a bunch of other cool shit that I've seen they've done. But the point is that they only know what happened. So we could assume that they didn't get enough streams. Maybe they'll say it in an article, but I think that's what it is. They didn't get enough to justify the budget that this show has, and this show obviously had a big budget, and I don't doubt that One Piece is going to get a huge budget as well. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like One Piece takes place in the ocean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to be cheap to film in the fucking ocean. You know what I'm saying? So like it's not going to be cheap. They better build all these island sets. It better look great. You know what I'm saying?
They're filming in South Africa. Like the filming already started. Um, like there have been leaked images of like their ship, like the ship
Yeah.
Straw Hats ride in. It
Mhm.
looks good. It looks, it's just, it looks good because it looks exactly like the boat in the anime, but it just looks
Yeah.
so fucking weird in like a real life, in a real life setting.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I think that's gonna be the biggest issue for One Piece, is that the character designs in One Piece, the personalities, and some of the things that happen are so wacky, right? So
Mhm.
wacky that I feel like if you put them in a real life setting, it's gonna
It's
Mhm.
not
take you
gonna
out.
do well.
Like it's just gonna take you out. It's just gonna be like, yo, like what the fuck is this? Like if you were to see a normal boat and then you see like the Going Merry, like the Straw Hat ship sail by it, it's gonna take you the fuck out because it'd be like, yo, like what the fuck? Like it's just such a fucking like vast fucking difference. And then like
That's the trouble with these adaptations. Finding that balance between keeping true to the source material and not turning off the live action image of it. You know what I'm saying? Like keep true to the anime style, have the wackiness of it, but also make it a product that looks good on screen. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And I really thought Cowboy Bebop was gonna be it, and I was fucking wrong. And I ate my words, and it flopped. And I really hope that One Piece doesn't. I think Netflix is very ambitious for trying to do these things. Um, so power to them. I hope it doesn't flop. I hope it's a fucking hit. I hope they make a bunch of money off of it, and it'll open the doors for other companies. And I hope my company starts looking at that. How do we adapt these anime series? And I'm learning that I knew there was different kinds of animes. Like obviously, not every anime is gonna have like an adolescent boy be the main character, but I think this is a genre that people need to look at. At least it's obviously the most popular. People already know about it, like shonen. But I think movie studios need to look at adapting these stories and looking at Shonen Jump magazine and seeing what stuff out there that would translate good into the screen. Because I don't, I think it would translate great on the screen. But that's just my opinion. We've seen adaptations flop, like Dragon Ball Z. It was
yeah.
fucking, it was garbage. But I would like to see a remake. I would like to see another go of the Dragon Ball Z adaptation. Um,
Well,
and
actually,
obviously, yeah, yeah.
Justin, the adaptation you told me that you want to see, I feel like would be perfect, like just perfect for a
Oh, and
movie.
yeah, for Akira, yeah,
For a,
that would be fucking insane. That movie, it just I don't know how else to describe it to people that haven't watched it, except bro, it makes you think a lot. Like it's a great story. It's after it's post-war Japan. It's a commentary on Japan after the war, and it's Neo Tokyo, so it's futuristic. The I mean, the way it's animated just looks great. It looks visually stunning. The story's great. Tetsuo versus Canada, the fucking pill gang. It's just a good fucking story. And I wasn't an anime. Well, I can't say I wasn't an anime fan because I was, but I had never seen something like that. And I think everyone else in the class really liked it. I saw this movie in the classroom, in Minister Diaz's
yeah, Mr.
class. I saw that
Diaz.
there. Yeah, I saw that there, and I really fucking liked it. I was like, bro, that shit was dope. But there was the people that didn't like it. Like the movie was weird. Like, oh, why did we watch something like that? It was weird. But I think that's something that could be really well done and it would have to be a movie. If it was to be put on the big screen, I think it'd be really well. I think that's something I'd love to see.
It's funny that because we did my class, we didn't see Akira in Mr. Diaz's class. I think he showed you guys that movie first, and I think based off like the reaction, he showed us a different movie. Or maybe did you also watch Grave of the Fireflies in Mr. Diaz's class?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's the
Grave
movie.
of the Fireflies?
Yeah, that's the movie we got to see, right? Which is another post-war Japan, right? Um, and it's like there's no like supernatural elements to it. It's just like a tragic story of like
Oh,
um
it's Studio Ghibli.
yeah, this young boy and his uh his younger sibling, and just dealing with like the after effects of the bombs, right?
Yeah. What is Studio Ghibli doing right now?
Um,
I think they were gonna work on another movie.
they just got
Um,
what's his name back? Miyazaki.
Miyazaki.
Yeah, he's gonna do another film for Ghibli.
there's there's a movie coming out in 2023 called How Do You Live? The last one came out in 2020. It's called Earwig and the Witch. And then before that is When Marnie Was There, which was in 20 released in 2014. So they've been not releasing a lot these last couple of years. Uh
I
but no, these are just visually like these movies look great. Like these are beautifully animated. Like these are like what people like post on Twitter or on TikTok. And I agree, it's like the anime vibe. Like it just looks great. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, anime
How do we
aesthetics.
get that? Yeah, the anime aesthetic. It looks cool. How do we turn that into fucking into a movie people want to see? That just not like anime people will be into, but like every like a wide audience. Like you want a Squid Games, you want a fucking series or a movie that everyone is talking about. Something cool, something relevant. And that's the hard part of the job. And that's something I'm trying to figure out all of the time. And
Uh, you know what? You could probably look to overseas where they do anime adaptations over there.
Yeah, like
So you got Gantz, dude, and apparently over there it did pretty well. And right now you're gonna have Tokyo Revengers. It's gonna be adapted to a live action, and it's
Mhm.
based off a manga. Has an anime, getting a second season, by the way, Josie. I don't know. Oh well, you sent it on the group chat.
mm-hmm.
It did really well. And it's gonna have a live action. Haikyuu as well is gonna do a live action.
Mhm.
Uh, I think you probably gonna have to see like what comes out over there, how they adapt it, how well it's received over there, and then try to
Mhm.
think like, oh, how can we do something similar but put our touch into it?
Yeah, because like Brian's saying, like obviously in Japan, like live action adaptations of anime is very common. Like it happens all the time. Like it is, they're
Okay.
constantly happening, right? With varied results, right? Um, but the thing is, like they don't get, that's not Hollywood, right? Like they're not fucking Hollywood.
Yes,
Mhm.
Like they're
Hollywood.
not. They're
Hollywood. We expect the best of everything.
Mhm.
like the production, the distribution is not on the same level. But
Mhm.
but I don't usually watch live adaptations of anime or things like that. Um, but the few that I've seen, for the most part, I feel like they do a good job. Like uh, Koreans and Japanese live action adaptations of these anime and manga. Um, as far as I'm concerned, they do a good job. It's just that I feel like they're very much aware of their limitations, right?
Mhm.
When it comes to budget and things like that.
Mhm.
So they're much more grounded adaptations,
Mhm.
and maybe that can be like what's missing. Maybe we should stop being so grandiose, right? Like the
Mhm.
live adaptation of the Last Airbender, right? um they had like some really ambitious shots. They had some action scenes that you can clearly tell that they put in a lot of effort, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes with anime, some people focus a little bit too much on the fights.
Mhm.
Like Dragon Ball Evolution was a whole bunch of flashing lights and pretty colors, but a very little
Mhm.
substance and very little story.
Mhm.
um a good example of what would be a good example, Brian, of a good live action adaptation? um
Ah,
the Attack on Titan was
oh,
like kind of iffy. um but that's because it's just really hard to do fucking Titans. It costs a lot of money to.
but like I'm saying, probably Gantz, if anything. I think Gantz might have been the most that I could think of is well received in terms of movies adaptations. Because
The Kaguya-sama was well received too because it's getting a sequel. If I
Oh
remember.
yeah, Kaguya-sama. Oh well, that's the thing though. It's not a shonen since shonen because it is shoujo and shoujo. You know, romance is not gonna be
Yeah,
where.
but Kaguya is one of those series that's very like extra. Like it is very very extra. Like like just like the inner monologues and things like that. And I feel like they did a good job. I've seen the first live action movie of Kaguya Sama,
Mhm.
and is it better than the anime? No, but it's still
Mhm.
good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good, and I felt like it made money. And clearly, it did make money because a sequel movie got greenlit. Um, I feel like that would be a good example, Justin. Like to for you to watch the Kaguya-sama live
Kaguya-sama.
action. Um, you might not like it because, like I said, it's a rom com, right? Like it's a
Mhm.
romantic comedy. But I feel like that would give you a really good example of how that side of the world is doing live action adaptations.
Yeah, like
Because
you're probably gonna have to see like overseas to see like how it's done.
mm-hmm,
Not
Yeah.
saying like oh like how they do it over there and then how
Mhm.
we do it over here. So you
No,
can
for sure.
compare.
That's it's it is it is very necessary for you to look outside your own bubble creatively, and I think that's something I've been trying to do. And I think looking at the rest of the world at what they're doing could be a great lesson. And Americans have taken stuff from around the world all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like in the
Yeah.
movies that they make. So it's like there is something about looking at what the rest of the world is doing and seeing if it at least trying it. You know what I'm saying? Trying it over here, and it merits a try. So um,
I mean,
it would probably if it was big budget studio, if it was big budget, it probably would not be my team. It would probably be Columbia,
hmm,
and Columbia is another division of Sony, and they handle the big budget projects. But I wonder if they're looking at something. I need to talk to Columbia more.
Hmm.
um, oh crap, damn, my knee cracked. My bad, guys. I had a game earlier. Oh, so we've been talking about live action, right?
Yeah.
Um, Sony has recently had big success in the animated side, right? With Into the Spider Verse.
Hmm.
Um, why has Sony ever thought of? Well, obviously, you probably don't know the answer to this, but like, has there been any thought of like, like getting an anime title and then Sony just making an animated film of that title?
That would be insane, but you are right. I do not know the answer to that because Sony Pictures Animation Group is another division
Mm-hmm.
that we have very little to do with. I did sit in on a pitch meeting with them recently because we got an animated movie pitched to us, and it was not traditional like Pixar looking animation. It was more like 2D drawing animation, kind of 2D, some 3D of it, but in essence, it looked very anime-ish. You know what I'm saying? In the style of the drawing. So I was like, it's interesting that they took the pitch and that they might be interested. There was no cast involved yet, but they had already animated it. Now it's just up to them to find distribution and to get cast and elements and all that stuff.
Hmm.
But if a independent animation studio comes with a good pitch, I bet Sony would listen. So it's up to them if they would ever do something like that.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of it in the sense of because new anime there's this event. Shonen Jump is holding an event this weekend called Jump Festa, right? And
Jump Fest.
yeah,
Oh,
Jump Festa, right? And in it, it's the one time of the year where they make their really big announcements, right? Like, oh, like next
mhm,
year, uh, all of these titles of ours are gonna get an anime adaptation, right? And then they
mhm,
they drop the trailers, they drop the cast and things like that, right? So this weekend we've already gotten announcements for new anime, right? Like new manga
mhm.
series are gonna get adaptations. I'm just wondering, right? Like, what exactly is holding back like a current series like Mash, right, Brian? Like Masho's
Hmm.
a current story going on in Shonen Jump, right? It's not one of the
Yeah.
biggest, right? It's probably like around like the middle of the pack, right? But
Mhm.
it's a newer series. I think it's really fucking good, right? Um, like what is stopping like a team from getting that title, and instead of going to the traditional anime studios like your Mappas, your Ufotables, your Studio Perea, right? Things like that, and instead of just going to Sony, right? Like going to Disney, right? Like things like that. And because I feel like that's where the most money would be, because Demon Slayer, Demon Slayer's released a movie, right? The
Mhm.
Mugen Train, and it broke every record imaginable in Japan. I think it was the highest
I
grossing.
think I saw that.
I think it was the highest grossing film of last year, in general, like not just
Yeah,
anime.
it was for 2020. Yeah, I think I remember seeing that on Box Office Mojo. Like I stay on Box Office Mojo,
Mm-hmm.
which is a good way to check how much movies have made and what movies have made. And I remember seeing Demon Slayer and thinking like, dude, fuck. This reminded me of like the Dragon Ball Z Broly movie. You know, like people went to go see that shit. Like
Yeah.
they went to the movies to fucking see that shit. And I mean, what's stopping? Well, first of all, if you have this cool source material already, you're gonna want to go with a studio that has had success in that area that you want to do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So like if you see that this uh animation studio has had great success and they did great on this other anime series, you're probably gonna want to go with them. Which is like just I think the lesson in all of entertainment is like people just stick to the same shit and there's hardly ever change. Like it is changing, but then it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
it's like the game has changed, but it's like that's why the saying like the more things change, the more they stay the same is like a saying. It's because like do things change, but then like not really. You know, it's just different variations of the same thing.
Yeah.
So like if you have like let's look at let's look at graphic novels. Let's say you own a graphic novel in the United States, right? And it's great, and you want to adapt, like you want a studio to adapt it, like um, or you want to make it into a TV show or whatever. Like you'd probably look at like the best graphic novel adaptations, which would be like AMC. So you'd probably want to work with AMC. You know what I'm saying? Like they've done the Walking Dead adaptation and it's a hit. It's been going on for 11 seasons. They're getting movies off of it. So that's a hit. So
CW
you as
too.
a oh, huh?
The CW as well. Like they've done the Flash. They're doing Riverdale, which is based off the Archie comics. I feel like they
Yeah.
do a good job.
So like these companies are gonna want to the people who own the product are gonna want to go with a company that is trustworthy. You know what I'm saying with their baby. You know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there is little incentive to try with another studio if you have the option of going with a reputable anime company that'll make sure to animate it really well. You know. So there's little incentive for innovation and for changes. So you know things the more things change, they kind of stay the same, which is it is a business, so you have to play it safe. So best not to risk when you don't have to risk, you know.
Hmm.
But then those that risk, obviously, you know, fortune favors the bold. So those who do risk, you know, sometimes
It'll
you
pay
win
off.
or sometimes you lose. Yeah, sometimes it does pay off, and hopefully this fucking we keep going back to
One
One Piece, but
Piece.
hopefully it fucking pays off. Like I'm excited for it, you know.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, talking about studios, X-Arm, dude. X-Arm, Crunchyroll in itself is Crunchyroll's doing like animes now as well, and they had one called X-Arm, and it failed miserably.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it was
it
dumpster juice. It was very garbage.
so I mean, yeah, it's like if it's not broke, don't fix it. You know, it's like if you
Hmm.
try to make your own original thing, like you know, it's a risk, but you risk fucking creating shit versus if you just stream other people's stuff. You know, that's where it's safe. You know.
But that wasn't X Arm didn't fail because it was done by Crunchyroll Productions. It failed because literally um, the entire staff for X Arm, none of them have had ever worked on anime. None of them. It was all brand new. Like that was their first time ever
Mm,
trying anything in that, which is why it came out looking so garbage.
Yeah,
true.
and that's maybe the risk of people who like have a great story and maybe they want to go to Sony, but it's like, has Sony ever done something like this before? Like, no, they're gonna fuck up my shit, you know?
Um,
Hmm.
the main reason why I asked you if like Sony's ever considered that is
Yeah.
because Disney has started licensing anime.
Really?
They're doing
Oh,
their own. Yeah,
Yeah.
they jumped the gun.
dude. All right. If it turns out to be a hit, watch every other company do the same fucking thing. They're
Yeah,
gonna fucking follow it immediately. So you you are gonna want to pay attention to how these studios move, and that's what I've been doing since I joined this, just watching how they move, because things always change. Companies buy this, it could be that like Sony gets bought out in the future, we get bought out and we become something else entirely. So it's always great to follow how these companies. I'm glad you knew that because I didn't fucking know that. But
yeah,
I'm glad we're having this conversation. I'm learning a bunch of shit. I didn't know that Disney was licensing anime. So let's see what the fucking future holds. That's dope.
yeah. And you know how earlier we joked around and said that Sony's getting a monopoly on anime.
Yeah.
Uh, that's only the case here on the Western Hemisphere, right? Because Disney already jumped the gun and they're doing that in the Eastern Hemisphere. Like
Mm-hmm.
in Japan, right? In Japanese Disney Plus, you can watch
Yeah.
anime, like main series anime, like big titles. Like you can I'm not sure if they have Naruto, but they have like My Hero Academia. They have Shonen Jump titles
Mm-hmm.
on Disney Plus in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So because Crunchyroll is only available here on this side of the planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with
Yeah.
Funimation. So Sony, they're like, okay, we got the Western exclusives, right? And
Mm-hmm.
after Sony acquired Crunchyroll, that's when Disney Plus started licensing anime and
Mm-hmm.
putting anime on their streaming platform. So it's like you said, they saw what Sony did and then they reacted, and they're like, oh, well, maybe we should go
Yeah. No.
straight to the source.
It's all a big game. So as soon as one company does one thing, and it's a success, you're gonna want to do that too. And it's uh it's a hard game out here, but I like it. At the end of the day, I can't talk for people higher up than me, but what I always wanted to do was make some cool shit since I was a kid. So my goal will always to be to make cool shit. It has to be commercial, obviously, but I really am excited, and I'm glad we're having this conversation about anime because one of my dreams would would be to make a cool looking anime series and have it just be a fucking hit, and that'd be great to have my name on something like that. So things to think about in the future. I'm gonna look at Shonen Jump magazine. I'm gonna look at the Gantz adaptation or something like that. You said Gantz.
Hmm.
Gantz. I'm
Gantz,
gonna
yeah.
look at the Jump Fest or Festa. So I'm gonna Google all this stuff later, just a little more. I think it's a thing in life. Just never stop learning. I think I always want to keep learning. So uh, this anime stuff has really been fucking dope to learn about.
Yeah, man.
And it is in the mainstream. More and more people are talking about it. Hopefully it becomes a thing where it's not a taboo subject to like. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe
Hmm.
early anime fans would be like, dude, I was called weird for liking this shit. People would look at me different. And it's like, it's good storytelling. It's fucking amazing storytelling. And I've only watched the mainstream ones. I can't even talk about all of anime because I've only seen the mainstream ones. Like, there must be like great stories out there that people don't know about. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, definitely. That's the one thing. And that's the biggest problem because like um, Sony and Hollywood, they appeal to the Western Hemisphere for the most part. But there's money in China and international rights,
Mm-hmm.
right? But um, over here, if someone well, the stigma is changing, right? But there is still the stigma of if it's animated, it's for kids. It's cartoons,
Yeah.
right? It's fucking um people think that there's no depths. People don't think that there's good storytelling, right? People think that it's just surface level writing because people grew up
Mhm.
on cartoons like that, people grew up on cartoons like SpongeBob, right? And I'm not shitting on SpongeBob. I love SpongeBob. SpongeBob's amazing,
Yeah.
but SpongeBob is very like episodic, right?
Mhm.
Whereas anime film, well, actually, pretty much all anime is an overarching story, right? From the first
Mhm.
episode to the end of the season. And you don't see that very much in cartoons. Like if I turn on Cartoon Network, it's almost all episodic. Like very rarely do I find a show like and when there are shows like that, there's a really big most popular like Avatar the Last Airbender. Like people love
Mhm.
it. And when Avatar first came out, there wasn't another show on Nickelodeon that had an overarching story like that. There just wasn't. It was
Mhm.
only Avatar. And um when people are just exposed to that type of storytelling, that type of animation, they're gonna grow up and they'll be like, oh yeah, anime is for kids. Cartoons are for kids. Because like personally, me growing up, like um, I would watch Naruto, I would watch One Piece. They'd be like, oh, why are you watching cartoons? That's for kids, right?
Mhm.
Um, without them knowing, like, I think Attack on Titan is one of the best gateway anime because you can tell someone and sit them down and you can convince someone be like just watch the first episode, just watch the first episode, right? Like this
Yeah.
isn't
Then they'll be hooked.
like this isn't some kiddie cartoon, right? Like there are
No. Yeah.
some serious concepts, right? Especially going on into the later series, right? Like I feel like Attack on Titan is a political thriller, right? And I feel like
Mhm.
if you tell that to an average person who's never been exposed to anime, it'll
Mhm.
it'll like go over the head. Like there's no way this cartoon can be a political thriller. There's no way um like it tackles ideology and things like this in that way, right? Like that's not possible. Like kids, because kids can't grasp that.
Yeah.
And I feel like until that stigma is gone, until
Mhm.
because what are the only mature cartoons out there? Like Family Guy, South Park, I guess The Simpsons, right? Like Futurama,
Yeah.
like there's a
Archer.
Archer, right? And like
Like,
if Western media looks at that and they think like kids, adults, like they think those shows are for adults, like kids can't watch that, right?
Yeah.
Like when I was growing up,
Robot Chicken.
yeah, like Robot Chicken. Like when I was growing up, I wasn't allowed to watch South Park. They're like, oh no, that's for adults, right? That's for things. And there was never anything like in the middle. And
Mhm.
funnily enough, Shonen is that middle. It's the middle gap.
Mhm.
Like Shonen, and I feel like that's why it's so popular here. That's why all the
Mhm.
mainstream media, I mean, all the mainstream titles here in the US are shonen
Mhm.
because they fit
Mhm.
that gap that we don't have, that we grew up without.
Mhm. It's a really interesting idea that I definitely I'll think I want to think about it. Yeah, because if you figure out why this is the most successful thing, you can use that to your advantage. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it about these stories? Like, I know why it works for me, but why does it work for someone else? You know what I'm saying? And how do you make sense to like the old people in the meeting to listen to your idea? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it'd have to be something shonen for sure. Something I'd want to adopt. Something where it's because that's like a story that's been around since the beginning of time. Like small boy has to grow into this role because the circumstances around him are forcing him to grow up and to rise to the challenge and face this conflict. And that's everyone wants to see him, and we want to see the main character win. We want him to have conflict and to overcome it. You know,
Yeah.
and to go through struggles. That's the great thing about a character because it changes. He changes with the things around him. I think the if One Piece and any other adaptation in the future wants to be successful, they have to adopt that element, like show conflict for the main character, and give us a good story. Make us care.
I'm just so worried because, like, once again, it comes down to One Piece, but like, just you yourself, like this is gonna be your introduction to the world of One Piece, right? So
Yeah.
if they do a shit job, anyone who like did the same thing you are, they're not gonna
Hmm.
want to watch One Piece. They're like, oh, One Piece is trash. Like, why should I watch this, right?
Hmm.
And
Or maybe other anime. It might turn them off to the whole anime world completely. They're like, bro, this was supposed to be an anime thing. I now don't want to get into this. And what we want is more people to like it, right? We want it more people because it's good storytelling. It's like your favorite. It's like your favorite anything. You want to share it with people. Like if you have a favorite artist, you want other people to like this artist.
and that's the thing because I can wholeheartedly say that One Piece is the greatest story I've ever read or consumed, like of anything. Like I've read the Dune books. Dune just recently came out, right? I've read Game of Thrones. I've read Harry Potter, right? I've like consumed so many. Like I've seen the MCU, right? I've seen
Mm-hmm.
just things like that, and like I've seen Star Wars, right? Lord of the Rings, right? And all of that stuff, and I still think like One Piece is the greatest story I've ever had the luck of reading. And
And I think a lot of people would agree with you if it's by far beating every other anime. Uh, we want that. We want this. I want that at least. But movie makers and creatives all like, we want that opinion of like, why did you really connect with this story? And those are things we want to figure out and things I'm figuring out for myself. Like what is it about these things? Like, I think maybe because I haven't seen One Piece, but like Naruto is like probably the anime I've had the most fun watching, but it's not like the best thing I've watched. Like the best thing I've watched would probably be like Attack on Titan. Like I see that and I'm like, dude, this story is fucking insane. Like how did people come up with this shit? It's like you said, it does talk about ideologies. It's a social commentary about the world and the other and just like fucking there's a lot of racism in it, like the Eldians, people living like
in the
just because of who
ghettos.
they're born, we're already judging them and shit. Like that's just a great fucking story, and I think at the end of the day, people want that. They want a good story that's gonna keep them hooked. And it sounds like One Piece. I wouldn't know, but I can assume and using how you talk about it, it's gonna be a great story. So hopefully they do a good fucking job.
It's how would you describe One Piece, Brian? Um, it's that story, like you said, Luffy coming into his own, right? It's his come up story. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Luffy's literally starting off from this small little rowboat, this little dinghy, right? And his story into becoming the king of the pirates, right? Conquering the ocean. Um, it's just the one thing that puts One Piece apart from everything else, other than the links, has to be like the actual world, like the world of One Piece. There's
Oh, okay.
there is literally nothing as big in any medium that I've read. Like when people think of like huge, amazing fantasy worlds, like I feel like a lot of people their mind goes to Star Wars, their mind goes to Lord of the Rings, right?
Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter. They do very well with world building, which I do agree is very important. Because it allows for more possibilities, so it's not just the same thing happening over and over again. You know what I'm saying? There's different possibilities, different storylines, different ideas of how it all comes together in this big fucking world. So building is very important.
Yeah, One Piece is
But
without a doubt the king of world building. Like, and the other thing, which is the scary part, like you said, because um, there might not ever be a season two, right? Like who
Mhm.
knows? Like maybe One Piece even does do well, and it just doesn't get a season 2, right? Like they don't.
Yeah.
They make their money back
It
because
all
they
de-
think it's worth continuing it, right?
yeah, it all depends. It all depends on like the money aspect of it. Like it could have been well reviewed, but like if it's not getting enough strains to justify how much it costs to make it, like it doesn't make sense to continue it. That's why Netflix shows like they come out with a bunch of new originals and then they cancel them like after one season. It's like why? It's like well because it's not making enough money for us, so it doesn't make sense to continue it, you know. And it's up to them to bring us a product that we want to watch, you know? Like as I'm not like I haven't seen One Piece, so like I want to I'm going to watch the first season of course, but like they have to hook me to watch the second one, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They better do a, you know. I don't doubt I think they're going to do a good job. Like it sounds like they are. Like with the casting, you know, they have the original creator like who's giving, you know, he's probably giving creative advice. I don't know how much pull he has, you know, but if he hasn't disowned it already, if he hasn't come out and said, "Oh, I disowned this," then it's probably like following
Within
something
what he
that he
wants.
likes. Yeah, like because you know, I think if if the creators of an original piece disown the adaptation, they're like, that's not my work." Then you know you know it's probably not going to be that good. You know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, man. I mean, with One Piece has to be the most rewarding series to watch because, like, like I said, like One Piece is a very slow burn, right? Like starting out.
Yeah.
Everything. It's almost as if everything matters in One Piece, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
characters you see in the first few episodes might you there are characters that you might not even think anything of, right? Oh, you think this is just a one-off character that you see, and then that character becomes like very critical to the plot like 400, 500 chapters later, right? And there is always consistently callbacks to past events, past episodes, past characters. um when when you meet a character, right?
Yeah.
When the Straw Hats arrive to an island and they meet the people, they have their conflicts, the story goes on, right? And then they move on, right, to the next island. That island they visited, you will eventually come back to it. Like whether the characters return to the island or not doesn't matter, but like you will see what happens, right? Like um the One Piece world is always moving. It's not just the Straw Hats, it's just not the main cast. It's not just Luffy's
Yeah.
adventure, right? Like you are consistently, you always throughout the series, you will get to see what everyone else is up to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's all these moving pieces. There's all these enemy factions, all these opposing forces with all their own goals and ambitions, right? And whether
Mm-hmm.
they go along with Luffy, whether they go against Luffy, um, it all matters. And at the end of the day, it's all gonna come to conclusion, and it's like, well, this isn't really a spoiler for you, right? But like the story is gonna end with a war, right?
Mm-hmm.
The author has already come out and said that this war is gonna be the biggest war in this, not only in the series history, but I have to assume in like anime history, because One Piece already, I'd argue, has the biggest war in anime, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
would you agree with me, Brian?
Yeah.
Marineford, yeah, it,
Yeah.
like halfway through the story, One Piece had a war, and it was the biggest war we've seen in anime and manga, right?
How long
Um,
did it last?
Not that long. It lasted maybe 20 episodes. Well, it lasted like
No.
20 chapters. My bad. It lasted like 20 chapters.
Mm-hmm.
It lasted maybe like 50 episodes, right?
Jesus.
Um, but that's just a whole different conversation because of what
Yeah.
the animation team decided to do with it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the final war is gonna trump that, right? And it is literally gonna be end game levels. Like, you know how everyone comes out of the portal, they're
Yeah.
lighting it up,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
it is gonna be at that scale, right? And I feel like it's gonna be bigger because,
Mm-hmm.
for one, there are more characters. There are a lot more characters. Like in One Piece, up to where we're at now, there's like 2,000 plus named characters. Like it is insane. Not
That
all,
is insane world building.
not
Goddamn.
not all of them are super important. You don't have to remember everyone, but like that's the
The
that's how vast
scale.
the scale. There you go. That's the scale of the world, and One Piece is, believe it or not, almost ending. Like it is close. Like it is very very close. Like I'd argue that there's maybe two more story arcs after the one we're currently in,
Mm-hmm.
and this story arc is about to end. Like it is about to end.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like that final arc in One Piece is gonna be without a shadow of a doubt gonna be like one of the most important events in anime and manga because of just how long One Piece is, right, and how popular it is, right. Um, people, um, it's just it's just so hard because the reason something like that will work, like the reason why the author is able to create such a big, large scale event like that, that will, the entire anime community will be going crazy. They will go absolute ape shit, right? Like, when One Piece dropped episode 1,000, like it crashed. All the streaming platforms crashed because that's how
Yeah.
much traffic they
Mm-hmm.
were getting.
Mm-hmm.
So when One Piece ends, that's going to be a really huge event. But the only reason why we were able to get that event is because of the journey, because of how long it was, because of how slow the start was, because of how
Mm-hmm.
careful and delicate the storytelling is. And if Netflix really want this to succeed, they have to follow the same approach. So they can't rush
Yeah.
anything. They can't rush anything.
No. But that's like the hard part, like how do you fit this fucking big ass story with 2,000 plus characters and all these locations and this long story arc into into a show that you know only is an hour long and you only get 6 episodes per season. Like it's a big undertaking, and it's gonna be hard because, like, let's say they only get 4 seasons. Like, you're supposed to fit that big story into 4 seasons. It's like impossible, right? And does this show have a time skip?
It does.
Yeah.
So you see like young Luffy and then adult Luffy.
Mm,
Well, episode one will open up with Kid Luffy, like a little kid, right? Um,
Yeah,
and then I think Luffy is 16 at the start of his journey,
yeah,
and then there's a 2 year time skip around the middle of the story. So Luffy's like 18. I think he's like current. He might be like 19 right now. Like
I think it
okay.
is
So it's
like
not like a big significant time skip, but I was just
no.
thinking in terms of like how Netflix would tackle that. Like, if their star is a teenager right now, like, are they gonna have to recast an adult for the time skip? But if there's no like adult Luffy, then yeah, it should be fine. But these are things to think about when you're putting it onto the live screen, like thinking about all these logistics about recasting, because anime is unique in that there is a story and people age, whereas in American cartoons people don't fucking age. They're just the same thing. It's the same thing, same characters. They're wearing the same clothes. But yeah, this adaptation is, now you're concerning me with with how it's gonna be. But
Like
I think I'm gonna give it, like, as we all should, and everyone should give it a shot. Go in there with an open mind and be like, you know what? They're trying something that, you know, something that's gonna it's obviously fucking hard to do.
I
So
I just genuinely have never believed that it would be possible to make a live action adaptation, whether it's a movie or a show. I always thought One Piece would be impossible. Like I
and it might be that it is impossible. We've yet to see it, but hopefully they hopefully they give us something we can all be happy about, and something that is just good. Like, we want good content. That's all we want at the end of the day. Like, after you come home from work and shit, you're fucking tired. You're like, let me put something good to watch and just relax and shit, you know? So
Uh,
hopefully they give us something like that.
what would you watch, Justin? You get home from a long day of work. What do you put on?
What do I put on? I've been watching. Uh, what do I watch? Like anime or just like anything live
Just
action?
anything. Just anything.
Well, it just depends on on my list. Like, I'll have like a running list of shit that I have to fucking watch, and people suggest things to me all the time, and I'm like, I'll put it on the list, and then I'll get to it. So like this upcoming winter break, I have a bunch of movies to watch. And in my HBO Max, Netflix, Amazon, like I have, if not every streaming service I have. So like, I have a list of things to watch. The last thing I've watched was the Spider-Man movie. Before the Spider-Man movie, what did I watch? I think I rewatched a movie with someone, and I forgot what movie. God damn it. Um, but I'm always just watching new things, new movies. I saw West Side Story. Any movie that's like new, I try to watch movies that have come out. Like, I watched West Side Story. I watched Spider Man. I'm gonna watch The Kingsman. I need to watch The Journal for Jordan because that's a Sony movie. uh, there's just a bunch of movies that are out that I'll watch, and Encanto I watched just anything that's new or like it's come out recently. Like, I have to watch it, like, just to stay relevant in like my work meetings and stuff, because we have like every Monday we're like, what did people watch over the weekend? If you didn't watch anything, you're like, what the fuck, what did you do all day then? But any series, I'm watching Invincible right now on Amazon Prime. We were talking about it earlier. That's what I'm watching right now. I'm still watching Boruto. That's something I like hop on and hop off from time to time. And it's
Oh.
getting better than from when first started, because it started off really fucking boring. Anytime they
Oh.
have
Oof.
Oh, you
what?
probably don't know. The majority of Boruto is filler. Like, none of it is canon. Well, I should say none of it, but Boruto's at like 200 something episodes. I'd say like maybe 50 of them are canon.
Yeah, no, just like where they have Naruto and Sasuke in it is what I'm interested in.
Yeah, that's usually
That's
the
kind
canon stuff.
Yeah, that's like the only stuff I'm interested in. I saw Ghostbusters Afterlife. I can't believe I forgot that one. I did not like it. Not a Ghostbusters fan, so I was just like, yeah, I don't really like this universe. I need to watch Licorice Pizza, which is this cool like indie movie-ish kind of thing. I saw Eternals. That was not that good. Did you watch Eternals?
Mm-mm. For that very reason, I've heard nothing but bad. I haven't heard
Yeah, like
any
word of mouth.
positives.
Yeah, word of mouth. It was like, it just wasn't. It wasn't like that entertaining, you know. I saw Fast Nine. These are movies that have come out this year. I watched A Quiet Place Part Two. I watched No Time to Die, the 007 movie. That shit was sick. Uh, Resident Evil. I watched Venom because it's a Sony movie. I watched. I want to watch Being the Ricardos. I saw that. It's the trailer for that. They look pretty cool. Saw Dune. Saw Jumanji. I'm like looking at all these movies that have come out. No, wait, Jumanji. No, that's old, but I did see that. But yeah, I'm usually just watching movies. More of a movie guy than a television guy. But if an anime is really good, I haven't gotten into one that's really good in a while. Like, I've just been the most of my anime watching in the last couple months has been Baruto, and I hop on
Oh
from
my
that from time
god.
to time.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
Brian. Brian,
Josie, why aren't you putting on some shit, bro?
I don't know, man. I feel concerned. What would be
Give
around?
us some.
Dude, all you have to mention is just a good shonen ones. That's something
Oh,
that I guess would.
Demon Slayer. Just check out Demon
Yeah,
Slayer.
Demon,
Demon Slayer. You
Demon
can't
Slayer,
can't
Tokyo
go
Revengers.
can't go wrong with Demon Slayer. You'll be able to see what the hype about the movie was.
It follows to become Jesus, not as young as it's a demon. How many episodes is it?
Uh,
Uh,
Right.
Is the
The first
story over?
season. No. Oh yeah, the manga's over. It's done.
It's done. Is it all
Yeah, the main.
animated?
No, not
No.
yet. Okay, manga done. Anime is still animating the manga.
All right, cool, 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 cool.
Yeah. Season 2 is currently ongoing right now. Um, Demon Slayer, Justin, is the biggest anime out right now, without a shadow of the doubt. Um, it is the highest selling manga of the year for 2 years in a row now.
Jesus.
Like I said, like last year it sold over 100 million. This year it's projecting to sell around the same.
Mm-hmm.
The anime is just blowing streaming numbers out of the waters. It's just one of those things that's good. Like it is just good. Like it's not overhyped. Like it really is as good as everyone thinks it is.
Dude, I'm very interested now that you're telling me about it.
And it's gorgeous.
That's how I got into. That's how. Oh, if it's beautifully animated, perfect.
Yeah.
I like. I like visually stunning things. I think that's what made me want to get into the film industry. Like just watching movies was like something I always fucking cared about, something I always liked, and I think that's why I like. That's why I like Attack on Titan so much. Maybe it's not beautifully animated, but it just looks so smooth sometimes. I was just like, dude, that shit looks dope. How do I turn that into a fucking movie? How the fuck do we do that? Like, that's something people, but we'll see with this series if people are ready for that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it could be that, maybe not right now, but maybe in 10 years' time, people are more willing to go spend their money on anime adaptations. You know what I'm saying? At least in America, at least for Western audiences. But maybe we're not there yet. But
You know what's funny, Justin? You never even introduced yourself as a Sony EA.
oh no, fuck.
I just, it'll be in the title. I'll think of something clever.
So pretty much what I'm an EA, I'm an executive assistant. I work for under the head of acquisitions at Sony Pictures Worldwide Acquisitions, and his name is Joe Matukowicz. And our job is to buy movies and, of course, produce them and release them under a label. So I work under Joe Matukowicz, and I also work under a man named Eric Charles, who is the VP of development for Stage 6 Films. And we have a couple films coming out in the future, so you can give us a Google or look at the Sony Pictures Entertainment page, and you'll see our label there. I work for a big studio, so there's a lot of employees there, and there are different divisions. Like, of course, we have the anime division with like Funimation and Crunchyroll. We also have Columbia, which works on our big budget stuff like Spider-Man. That's a Columbia project, and then we also have Screen Gems or TriStar Pictures, and they do more specialized genre films. So I'm a cog, a screw in the machine or whatever, like whatever the saying is. Like I work for this division only, so I kind of have the most knowledge on this. But I also, I have friends in other divisions that I talk to, and I've been working at Sony for a while now, and I love it. And I'm wearing one of the shirts for the podcast specifically, spreading that Sony propaganda. And I'm reading an article right now how well Spider-Man is doing. That's just great. Um, Spider-Man superhero movies are here to stay, and that's what's gonna make the most money, and I think it's gonna be like that for a while. Now, if that's a good thing or bad thing for the film industry, who knows? Like, are we forced to make superhero movies now? Like my division, like, are we gonna have to create our own superhero just to make the money we want to see now, or do people want to see, you know, original, thought-provoking stories? It seems like superhero people would just want to see superhero stuff, which is fine.
Yeah. And now that we're on the topic of like superhero movies, right? I thought we're supposed to be wrapping it up, but we might go on another little tangent right now. What are your thoughts, Justin? And yours too, Brian, because I've never actually directly asked you on on why is it that comic book adaptations are so well received, because I feel like they've been well received since the beginning, right? Like, and yeah, like anime and manga isn't, because I don't want to just bank it on, oh, because Dragon Ball Evolutions was so fucking shit. After that,
Yeah.
everyone just stopped fucking trusting it, right? Whereas superhero movies have pretty much always done good, right? Like with the original fucking, like the George Clooney Batman films, and the Man of Steel ones, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and then the launch of the MCU, like Iron Man. Like Iron Man did great for a hero
I,
that most people didn't even know. Like I didn't know who Iron Man was until the movie came out.
I
mhm.
knew it because of the show.
Mm.
I
I used
mean,
to watch those shows back in Disney. So
I think financially they might do well, but then, like, at the end of the day, they're doing so well because they're so well made. You know what I'm saying? Whatever Disney is doing with this Marvel universe, bro, they hardly ever miss. Like, is Eternals their first miss? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Uh
they just don't fucking miss with these movies. Like, this
Probably.
Spider-Man movie is gonna keep me engaged for the next couple of Spider-Man movies. You know, it's like they haven't fucking missed yet. Like, whereas DC, they've consistently missed with some of their movies. You know what I'm saying? Like at least for their building for their universe. Like they missed with Green Lantern. They missed with the first Suicide Squad movie. The first version of the Justice League movie was like garbage. Like nobody liked it. You know what I'm saying? So it has to have prior popularity. Like the Avengers, Spider-Man, all these comic book characters were already popular with people before, but also the adaptation just did really well. And, they're American, and Americans will like American
yeah,
things, and then the whole world likes America. Like they don't like America, but they like American movies. Like the whole world consumes American media, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of factors that combine together to make this a success. Like I'm reading right now, like Spider-Man debuts to jaw dropping 253 million, and the movie came out on Thursday for the world, right? Like, bro, that's a shit ton of fucking money. Like,
in what, 4 days?
Yeah.
a shit ton of
Or
fucking
5 days?
money, dude. People
Okay.
went to the movie theaters to see this. This is exclusive movie, like an exclusive film. Like, no, they didn't combine this with a streaming service and movie theaters. Like, no, they put this on movie screens. People want to go watch it, and like imagine all the money that from people that pirate shit. Like, how much money is being lost there? Like, bro, this everybody's talking about this fucking movie,
I
and it's a
mean,
big success. And but it's a big success because it did it so well. Like Josie, you love the movie and I love the movie, so it's a combination of it being good source material and also it just is done really well. You know, the writing was good, the visuals, the VFX. I mean, the pacing of the film. Like it was just a good ride, and everyone should go watch that fucking movie.
do you think it'll ever be possible for an anime to get that treatment, like production
For
wise?
like to justify the budget, it would have to be an anime that would be a good movie. You know what I'm saying?
Mm, well, what
Like maybe
about?
Dragon Ball Z could be something like that. You could justify putting a lot of money into it because it is very popular. You know what I'm saying?
What about Demon Slayer? Demon Slayer, its animated movie was the highest grossing film of a year. Wouldn't that be a good pitch? Be like, hey, like the animated version of this was the highest grossing film, of like 2020, right? And granted, it was a COVID year, but I mean that would be something, right? You can use that as an
It
example.
would it would be, but it's also something that maybe could be a negative. They're saying like, oh, why would they see the same story again if they already have the animated version? You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? they already have the animated movie version of it. Why would they see the live action if it's going to be the same fucking thing? So it could be a negative. It would have to be something like Dragon Ball where there wasn't something before. Like, no, well, I guess Dragon Ball has the Broly movie. So it could end up hurting it that there is already a movie, a 2 hour long movie that wraps up a story for the source material. That doesn't wrap up. It just wraps up a story. Like the Broly movie is like its own arc, right?
Yeah.
Instead of it being like a season long thing or a couple of, like hella episodes, it's just like a 2 hour movie, maybe even less than that, and it just wraps it up. It starts with introduces Broly, boom, it ends it. So it would need something like that.
Well, Brian, you know what? Oh, I got a good example, Brian. They're gonna make a live action. Your Name. Hollywood is gonna make a live action Your Name.
Your name?
Yeah, Your Name is my favorite movie of all time. It's an anime film. What year did Your Name come out in?
2016.
2016. Yeah, it's done by Makoto Shinkai. He's my favorite director. Uh, it's gonna get a live action. They're gonna change it. It's not gonna take place in Japan. I think it's gonna take place here in the U.S. in the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
I am worried, right? Because that is my favorite movie of all time, right? And I love the animated movie. Um,
Mark Webb is directing.
oh.
Oh, I've seen
Mark.
this. I've seen bits of this. It's such a. It looks visually. It's stunning.
Yeah, all of Makoto Shinkai's films are fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, it just looks good. I gotta watch this.
Yeah. That's gonna get Hollywood live action because I think for 2016 it was even on nominated for an Oscar.
Really?
It fucking lost to Boss Baby, bro. That is the biggest fucking atrocity I've ever fucking seen in my life, dude. It lost to fucking Boss Baby.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow. Who's making this movie though?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
Who is? Let me see.
But I feel like those
Bad Robot is making, and Paramount is distributing. So Bad Robot is J.J. Abrams' company.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no. That's not the best news I've heard today.
This is the info I found right now. So it's gonna be directed by Mark Webb. Bad Robot is producing, and Paramount is distributing. Are there any more company credits? Toho, do you know what that is? It's a Japanese company. Is also producing.
Yeah, Toho. Mm-hmm. Toho
Toho,
Animation.
yep. Yeah. So, I mean, it could be a good thing. Bad Robot has their misses, but they also have a couple hits. You know. They got the Mission Impossible movies. They have the Cloverfield Paradox, which was like I think it was a Netflix movie when it came out. It was a Netflix movie, yeah. And it's like it was pretty good. 10 Cloverfield Lane, Star Trek, Bad Robot. They do some cool stuff. They did mess with Star Wars though. That was pretty bad. But yeah, I'm excited to see this. I'm adding it to the list. More things to watch from my list. Your Name.
Brian.
Mm.
What other anime stories do you think would make a good movie? Because as Justin has said earlier, there's a big difference between like a series and a movie, right? Because you know, like how he used Dragon Ball as an example, it's a lot easier to make a one-off Dragon Ball movie because Dragon Ball does that all the time. Like they make non-canon Dragon Ball movies. I think there's like 13 Dragon Ball movies out, and they're all like their own,
Yeah.
they're all like their own original little story.
Yeah.
So I feel like if they were to make a live action Dragon Ball, I wouldn't want to see it from like the beginning of Dragon Ball, like when Goku's a kid, right, and he fucking hits his head, right, with Grandpa
Mhm.
Gohan. I wouldn't want to see it from the beginning of Z, right, where he introduces Gohan to Bulma and all of them, right, and then Raditz shows up.
Mhm.
I would want it to be like no origin story, like just like you know who the fuck Goku is, right? Like
Mhm.
just expect like you know who the fuck Goku is. Like you're coming to watch it because it's Dragon Ball, and it's just his own
Mhm.
story. Like you don't have to establish the world, just and that might be asking a lot. Be like asking a lot from like an audience to be like, oh,
Mhm.
be familiar with the story, or else you're not gonna enjoy the film. But I feel like there's a higher chance of it being successful if they just be like, okay, like this is the story of Goku and Vegeta going to fucking, I don't know, fucking planet Earth, right? And I
Mhm.
don't know, like Conor McGregor wishes on the Dragon Balls so he'd be able to fight Goku, right? Like some shit, some crazy shit like that, right? Like just make an
Yeah.
original little story. I feel like there's a way higher chance of it being successful.
Yeah. No. One of my dreams would be to see a live action adaptation of Dragon Ball Z, and for one of the final shots or one of the shots in the movie, guaranteed it would have to be like a key fight, like an energy beam fight between Goku and someone else. And then like Goku hits a Kaioken and it just and then he ends up winning the fight. That's something I always thought would be pretty cool to see live action. And we have the technology is there now, but it would be very fucking expensive. And the casting would have to be right because Goku is he's a stallion. Like you can't like I think that's where the first Dragon Ball's like adaptation fucked up. The casting was just off, bro. That guy was not Goku. He was not meant to play Goku.
Hell no. Um,
Yeah, that shit was fucking trash.
um, Brian,
Hmm?
remember
Continue.
when? Hmm?
No,
Oh,
I was
is
gonna
it
say,
continue?
yeah, continue. Ask
I
your
was gonna
question.
tell you. You know how on this podcast we've talked about the next golden age of anime, right? Like it's coming, or it's here. How do you think that's gonna affect streaming? Because like we said, like Sony has purchased Funimation and Crunchyroll now, right? I'm expecting them to combine any. Like I've told Brian that I expect Funimation and Crunchyroll to like combine on one app, right? Hopefully for
Mm,
me, right? That way it'd only be one subscription, and you just put
mm,
all their titles together. Um, Anime is on the rise, right? Um, Currently there's only those two like main. Those are the only two anime only streaming platforms, like because
mm,
you can watch anime on Hulu, you can watch anime on
mm,
Netflix, you can watch it on Prime. Um,
There's VRV though, but
uh,
that's like a sub. It's
but
off of
that's owned
Crunchy.
by Crunchyroll, so Sony owns VRV
Crunch-
now. So do you feel like there's gonna be a another app to come out soon? Like, do you feel like that would be even possible for another
Uh,
streaming platform to just pop up out of nowhere for anime?
It's not
if
impossible.
it's not impossible, no, because new companies are getting started every day. People are gonna want to join in on this, this money pig. They're gonna want this growing service. So I could see a competing studio creating this like anime only streaming service, like they create it out of their own money and have like license these things, or maybe even make original anime. I could see it happening for sure. There's money to be made in anime for sure, so companies should look into that and
Be
not let just Sony have all of it.
because I feel like that's a golden egg that Netflix is sitting on that they just don't want to do because Netflix are making Netflix original anime, or Netflix is buying licenses for anime to make their own anime. Like like Tower of God, God of High School, things like that. Like they're buying like they're getting the rights to IPs, right, to like make their own anime.
Mm-hmm.
And and they're also getting the exclusive rights for shows all the time, like oh my god, Brian, you have a tattoo of it. Why is it fucking evading my, like,
Seven Deadly.
yeah, Seven Deadly Sins, right? Like you can only watch Seven Deadly Sins on Netflix, and they have a bunch of shows like that. So I've always wondered why Netflix haven't made like a little app, a little baby streaming platform to be like, oh hey, this is Netflix's anime, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It would have to
because
justify. It would have to justify putting the money into it. Like a lot of companies are hesitant to innovate sometimes, and it would be a big risk because although anime is on the rise, it's not like Marvel superhero mainstream. It's not something everyone enjoys. I think it's still very niche. Maybe not niche, but like say out of 100, I think it like out of 100 people, like if you were just to take like a random sample size, like how many people would you think would like those they've watched at least one or two anime series in its entirety?
watched maybe like 40, maybe like
Okay, now how many of those like read manga?
much less. Like well, it probably
Only half.
depends. It probably depends on like
And then out of
where.
those,
Like
you have to ask.
I feel like it depends on who, because if we're getting like 100 Americans, then
Yeah, 100 Americans.
I'd say like maybe like 5 of them have read a manga, maybe.
And then out of those five, like, well, out of the original 40 that I've watched, like, how many of them are willing to spend $15 a month for this anime only streaming service? Like, these are things like you have to think about as a creative that, like, it has to justify. There has to be a need, like, supply and demand. There has to be a demand for this stuff. And there is. But, is there enough demand to justify 3 or 4 or 5 competing streaming services? Like,
Well, I mean, I I was more thinking of it as um you wouldn't have to pay for that. If you already have a Netflix account, then it would apply to that. I'm just saying like
oh,
the
it'd be like,
platform,
and
just the platform itself for anime. Like they would take it off of Netflix and put it onto that platform, right?
that would
Um
make sense. Yeah, I
that
could see that
that was
happening.
the angle I'm coming from, because
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That should happen.
out of those 40 people, like you asked, who would be willing to pay for a subscription? I'd say out of those 40 people, I'd say maybe like 20, 25 of them would have a Crunchyroll account. So they're already
Yeah.
paying
Is it like it goes month to month, or is it like an annual thing?
months to months, like any other streaming
Uh,
platform.
but I think you could do an annual one with
Oh, with Verve, huh? VRV?
No, I'm pretty sure with Crunchyroll they have an annual one too.
Oh, yeah, they do? Oh,
I'm pretty sure
maybe.
it's either that or Funimation. I remember one of them having an annual one, and I was like, it's tempting.
Yeah, we would hope that people subscribe for the annual one, but I don't really work for a streaming service, so I wouldn't really know what's the best thing to ask. But maybe it's in the work in the future. I don't know where I'm gonna head it. I don't know if I'm gonna. I don't know the future, so I'll go where I feel like my ideas would be listened to more. I like people listening to my ideas, as every creative does.
Mm-hmm. Well, to wrap things up, it was a pleasure to have you, Justin. I really appreciate you coming on here and talking to us, because, like I said, I find like your point of view really interesting, because like me and Brian, we're anime fans, right? So we only see things
Mm-hmm.
from this angle. And
Mm-hmm.
as someone from who's working in the industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not necessarily the anime industry, but you are in the and entertainment, and
Mm-hmm.
just your point of view is a lot different, because like like just the money wise, like just a simple, like that's a small little example, but just a simple fact that I never even considered, like, like maybe they didn't make their money back for the
Mhm.
Cowboy Bebop. I was just so like exposed to the hate and the negativity
Mhm.
of the community
Yeah.
that I didn't even begin to consider. I was like, I just assumed everyone watched it and they didn't like it, but maybe people
Mhm.
just didn't even watch it because of everyone saying it sucked.
Mhm.
um I learned a lot, right? Like I learned a lot talking to you.
No, yeah, I learned a lot about anime and shonen. Things to I gotta watch Demon Slayer, Tokyo Revengers, and Your Name. So things to add to my list. And thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
For sure.
You guys are very smart in anime, and I definitely want to learn more. I definitely want to watch more things because it is fucking dope. Like animes that are fuck like Attack on Titan shit. Like bro, that shit's insane. Everyone should watch this shit, bro. This shit's insane.
It is, it really is. Oh man. Well, like I said again, thank you for coming on. For everyone listening, we've been on Taco Outcast once again. um New episodes every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I realized that I've always just said, oh, Mondays at 5, but I've never said what the time zone. So
Yeah,
Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. every Monday. Um, try to support us on YouTube and on streaming platforms. And answer the fucking questions, guys. uh, la, Justin, we're on Spotify, right? And
yeah,
Spotify gives you this option to like ask a question, and then listeners can reply, right? And no one ever fucking replies.
yeah. I did not.
I need you guys to
Yeah,
reply. Um, Maybe the questions I'm asking aren't interesting, but I
Yeah, maybe they're
please
boring.
request. I think last week I asked if Sword Art Online deserves the hate it gets. I don't know. I thought someone would tell me, yeah, it fucking sucks or something along those lines, but no one
yeah.
wanted to reply. So please, everyone listening, send us your replies. We promise to get back to you.
Nice.
With that being said, we'll see you guys next week.
All right,
All
take
right,
care,
for
guys.
sure.